A big day for the 12 teams of the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, an even bigger day for young players and their families. Welcome to the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. I am your host, Daniella Ponticelli, joined today at IKS Media Studios in Regina with a great SJHL panel of insiders, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. And Rory, last year's draft just yielded such great talent, and this year's draft follows the same format.
Yeah, it's going to be the same format, and what a day for all young Saskatchewan hockey players getting a chance to hear their name called and being drafted into the SJHL. You mentioned same format as last year, 6 rounds of 2007 birth year players, followed by 2 rounds of 2008 birth year players. Looking back at the 2022 draft, though, you saw over 30 players who were drafted last season make their SJHL debut, over 300 games played combined between them, and 5 NCAA Division I committed players. So it's a format that really worked in 2022. We're going to see the same format here in 2023, and I can't wait to get it going.
And Jamie, you are back again for another draft. And as a league insider, who are your players to watch today?
Yeah, so I should say that the list that you're going to see on your screen are not necessarily all guys that I think are necessarily first rounders or the premium players, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be drafted within the 6th round. So if they could throw up my players to watch here coming up, there's obviously a big list of guys who are eligible. Remember, guys who are auto-protected in their centers are not allowed to be picked. And then on top of that, there are people who are already drafted. So there you go, my players to watch for this draft: Jackson Carrig, the big power forward out of the Tisdale Trojans there, Trey Marcus. Bounce back and forth between Warman, AA, U18, and AAA. He's a real talented guy to watch. Cruz Klapik, very diminutive but electric. Had a great year in AA, U18 with the Regina Vics. Ryland Mold, a very high potential defenseman, very well-rounded defenseman as well already. Tao Flory, a big, strong kid. There's not a lot of size among defensemen in the draft this year, and Tao Flory is one of them that does have big size. And of course, Corbin Schnurr, I don't know how you can be more dominant than he was in the AAA Sask League this year. A little undersized, but an outstanding goalie. So those are 5 guys to really keep an eye on this season.
And those are just 5 names of many that we're going to hear today. There's so much still in store, and it all leads to the big moments. Those players from last year having an impact right away. And this year's SJHL champions, the Battleford North Stars, they just had an incredible run at the Centennial Cup. And in really what has been a banner year for the entire league, Rory.
Yeah, it was immense success from start to finish for Battlefords, who boasted plenty of Saskatchewan-born players throughout their lineup. What a job by the scouting staff, first of all, to have this blueprint across a few years, their coaching staff, Braden Klamosko, and then the players to go all the way to the Centennial Cup final and really represent Saskatchewan in, a gold light and, one step before a national championship. But what success for Battlefords. Nugsy, you were there for the final few games.
Yeah, I was there, and maybe with the exception of a minute and 30 seconds in the finals, the Battlefords North Stars were right there with the Brooks Bandits, the best team in Canada. Clearly, they did a great job, and I think also the teams in our league did a great job preparing them. You think about the Flin Flon Bombers in the finals, preparing them to face that competition, and you go the way through. So the parity in this league makes everybody better, and Battlefords North Stars demonstrated that really well in the Centennial Cup.
And speaking of teams, the order of the draft is also important. Rory broke down how the format will play out, but this is how things will go or should go this morning, and we'll take a look at it on our screen now. So starting first is in the bottom right, and it is the Battleford North Stars.
Well, the Battleford North Stars, first place in the SJHL. Melville, I believe, is what you're going to want to look for the first overall pick. 12th place in the SJHL after a 14-36 5-1 record. Of course, they're still looking for their head coach. They haven't announced who is going to replace Mike Rooney. And last year, as we mentioned, there was 2 rounds of 07s. They had the 3rd overall, the 4th overall, and the 5th overall pick, drafting Leo Jewett, Alex Morrison, and Wesley Olson. So now they're going to get the 1st overall pick. Another another 07 player, and that's just a talent pool of young players. Will they take a forward like those three last year? Will it be on the blue line or in the net? I don't know, but Melville has the first overall pick, and then Kindersley, Yorkton, and so on as you go throughout that order there.
Yeah, and we should also say this would have been, sorry,
yes,
Danielle,
that's where my confusion came
I was about
in
to
with the
explain
numbers.
that you get the slot based on where you are in the standings, but this is updated with some trades that have been made, and you see the Broncos are going to pick twice. Something I believe they did last year. The Melfort Mustangs again twice, Battleford's twice. So, you know, these guys clearly have specific players that they have eyes on, that they may be concerned that other guys have eyes on too. And so we'll see, you know, who will go. But very interesting to see what happens in this first round.
We talked a little bit about it, how great last year's draft was. Some notable picks from this last season.
Yes, that's right. So as Rory was mentioning, there was all sorts of guys that had an instant impact. And I think, you know, we're going to ask the commissioner about the fact that, you know, you're drafting a little bit older players than in the past with the 14-year-old draft. Now with 15-year-olds, you can see a little bit more of that development and then draft them. So, you know, obviously Matt Van Blericom getting his D1 commit there to Michigan Tech. Riley Ash, the rookie of the year in the SJHL, again, an 06 birth year, 10th overall pick. What a great story he was. You know, Karsten Cater going to Nebraska, Omaha, Eric Kale, a big piece of the Weyburn Red Wings in net. And you go down the list, Brock Evans had time as the #1 centerman with the Kindersley Clippers, especially in the absence of Logan Linklater at different times. Ronan Buckberger, Rory, you saw him a lot in the playoffs for the Nipawin Hawks, and he was really, really good. Casey Brown and Connor Miller, again, made impacts at different points during the year, but it was a lot of fun to see all these guys jump right in.
Yeah, 100%. So there's 24 players born in 2006 who made at least their SJHL debut, and then there was 6 players born in 2007, basically 15-year-olds coming into the league who made their SJHL debut. It's a great format, as Nugsy said, that it allows them to see a little bit more time for some of these players, and we're going to get that same format here this year.
We want to make sure that we thank our supporting sponsors for the draft today: Chevy, CANTERRA Seeds, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. Draft day, a big day again for the families, the players, the league. Rory, Nugsy, how are you feeling about today?
I'm excited. I mean, it's always great. We get to highlight these players as they become SJHL stars, as they, you know, grow through junior. They look for that post-secondary education commitment, but this is the start. It's right here. You'll find out where you might be playing. You'll find out what team has been scouting you the most, and it's a really exciting day for all these kids.
And now is a great time to introduce the commissioner of the SJHL, Kyle McIntyre.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone to our 2023 SJHL U15 draft. A very exciting day for our prospects that are out there in the province of Saskatchewan. Also exciting opportunity, exciting day for families, for parents, for siblings, and of course for our 12 member organizations. And so without further ado, we're going to get down to announcing our first pick overall. So Melville Millionaires hold the first pick in this year's 2023 draft. Melville, you are on the clock.
Melville Millionaires, yes, your first team up to pick. And when you think about where they ended up last season and sort of their needs, what are you looking for?
You know, I think they got a lot of young players that are ready to step in. We talked about the 3 they drafted last year, all forwards, but it's not like they're lacking on young players on defense. The thing to me is that they don't have a head coach right now, so
that's true,
I expect that announcement to come fairly soon. So we'll see what the scouting staff has been watching, but the first overall pick is big, so this one really could go anywhere for me.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, having the first overall pick is the easiest pick too. In some ways, because you just kind of pick the best player available. And I think if you have the first overall pick, it usually means last year wasn't the success that you want it to be. So I think they'll just pick the best player they think is available in the draft.
And now we have the Melville Millionaires with their pick.
Okay. Kindersley Clippers hold the second pick overall in the SJHL 2023 draft. Clayton Jardine from the Kindersley Clippers, you are on the clock. Oh, sorry, I got to throw to Melville right now, so we're going back to Melville.
Thank you, Kyle. With the first pick in the 2023 Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League draft, the Melville Millionaires are pleased to select forward Preston Bearwald, Corman Park.
Preston Bearwald from Corman Park. You talked about Jamie getting the best of the best. What is your assessment?
Yeah, so first of all, the Saskatoon Blazers, of course, the bronze medalists at the U18 National Championship. So Preston has that winning experience. Of course, they won the U18 League and they won the regionals. And Preston, he's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of talent. So people will talk about a guy being buried in the lineup. Of course, they had all sorts of superstars on that Blazers team, but Preston is going to get more opportunity next year with the Blazers, Rory. And as you know, speed kills in this day and age, and Preston's got a lot of it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of it, and he also doesn't back away from the tenacity of the game. He is a pit bull out there on the ice, which you really love to see. And I mean, 18 points in 43 games, and one of two eligible players who has won back-to-back championships, as you mentioned, in the U15 with the Bandits and last year with the Blazers.
And now back to the commissioner, Kyle McIntyre.
Okay, with the second overall pick in this year's draft, it's the Kindersley Clippers. Coach Clayton Jardine, you are on the clock.
Thanks, Kyle. With the second overall pick in the SJHL draft, the Kindersley Clippers are excited to select from Waldheim, Saskatchewan, Jackson Herchak.
Kindersley Clippers have made their pick, second overall.
Yeah, Jackson Herchak that's a great pick for the Kindersley Clippers. It's a swing as well, as he was a pretty high WHL draft pick at 76th overall going to PA. But here's a guy, when you talk about the Kindersley Clippers, they have a lot of young talent on up front. Spencer Cheslowski, Brock Evans, Casey Brown all drafted last year. You add in the Perlinger twins, who are Kindersley auto protects. And now they look to pair, another young defenseman with Danton Cox. And I think Jackson Herchak, if Kindersley gets them on their lineup next year, that is a home run swing, one of the best defensemen in the SJHL eligibility pool this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's as polished as any player in the draft this year. If he's an NCAA D1 commit in a couple of years, would not surprise me. This kid is very well-rounded. He's physical, and we're going to talk about it a lot, guys. Canada Winter Games this past year for Team Saskatchewan as well. Played a great role on a great team, and very, very good player for Kindersley, for Clayton Jardine to get in the door there.
And the SJHL draft continues now with Commissioner Kyle.
All right, this year's third overall pick belongs to the Yorkton Terriers. I'd like to welcome Coach General Manager Matt Hare.
Yeah, with the third overall pick, we'd like to select forward Kieran Osberg.
Yeah, so they're doing an awesome job at Prairie Hockey Academy these days out in Caronport, Saskatchewan. Kieran, the thing I love about this pick, guys, is he's very, very mature for his age. I think he could play junior hockey right now just because he's so cerebral. Does he have the puck skills? Does he have the skills? Is he going to fill the net at the SJ level this year? I don't know. But it's kind of like a Brock Evans last year in that he's a guy that's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. He can kill penalties. He can score on the power play, but he sees the game very, very well. His hockey sense is very, very high, and great coaching these days out in PHA with Rob Holian there doing a great job, and all the group there. So, yeah, an interesting pick, and I really like him.
And back now to Commissioner Kyle.
All right, we had a bit of a trade today. Originally, the fourth overall pick belonged to the Notre Dame Hounds. That pick has been traded to the Flin Flon Bombers. So, John Clausen, Player Personnel Director for the Bombers, you are on the clock.
He's muted.
Unfortunately, having some difficulties with the audio there, but Flin Flon has made their pick. We're just waiting for confirmation on the name.
Yeah, and the Flin Flon Bombers, as Kyle McIntyre mentioned, they traded up 6 spots to go from the 10th overall pick all the way to the 4th overall pick. And you kind of look at what teams are in the middle there. 2 picks from Melfort, you have a pick from Battlefords, and you have a pick from the Humboldt Broncos. Is there someone on the Flin Flon Bombers that maybe they thought those other teams were targeting, and we got to get up above them in order to get them?
Yeah, well, we saw Melfort move up to get Weyburn's pick, I believe part of the Jackson Fellner deal, but interesting to see. Maybe Mike Reagan and his staff have somebody that they're concerned maybe Melfort would take, and maybe a relationship there. So be very interesting to see. But of course, the Flin Flon Bombers do a great job. John Clausen does such a great job scouting, and his staff is so detailed and prepared. Whoever was picked, I'm sure is great.
Well, you look at a couple other players that were drafted in recent years. Kyle Olofsson, that speedy, smaller forward, but he doesn't shy away from the physical side of the game. Ryland Pierce, kind of a hybrid player. So they've done a really good job scouting up there in Flin Flon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And those 2 guys you mentioned right there, physical guys, versatile guys. We saw Kyle Olofsson kill penalties, get some time on the power play, even in the finals, in the playoffs. And Ryland Pierce, is he a WHL player? Is he a defenseman? He's a forward. He did both for Flin Flon after the big trade in the Western Hockey League that sent him back to the SJHL this past year, the Everett Kamloops trade that brought him back. But, very interesting. And again, as you said there, Rory, guys were versatile and physical. And if you're going to play at the Whitney Forum for Mike Reagan, you got to be physical.
We have the pick now from Flin Flon. It'll appear on your screen shortly. Leo Seitz from Saskatoon, congratulations.
Yeah, this is another big pick. It's another one off the Saskatoon Blazers, the championship winning team. 17 points in 44 games for Leo Seitz out of Saskatoon. You know what? Winning pedigree can't be undervalued, and we've already seen 2 Saskatoon Blazers now go off the board.
Yeah, just a quick point about Seitz and Bearwald. Because they were younger players on a very talented team, they had to do penalty killing. They had to do some of the grittier shifts to be trusted to get the ice time. So you're getting more mature kids as a result.
Well, I'm talking about you, points are going to come for Leo Seitz. The year before in AA, 81 points in 31 games. So it's definitely there, the offensive talent. Now
back to Commissioner Kyle.
Okay, this year's 5th overall pick belonged to Weyburn, and now was traded to the Melfort Mustangs. Coach Trevor Blevins, you are on the clock with the 5th pick.
They have, again, to get to the point here, and now they're trading for that draft spot.
Yeah, great season for Melfort. And when you look at Melfort and you tie them to the SJHL draft, how can you not name Riley Ash?
Yeah.
Right? The top 10 pick in the SJHL draft this year, gets a Division I commitment to the University of Nebraska Omaha there. So exactly kind of what we're looking at a couple of these players to step in and do next year. One of the Melfort Mustangs players did it last year.
Yeah, year after year, right? They get a young player in there that really explodes to go, with a very experienced core. And Riley Ash had a Ben Tkachuk there to show him the way. So you had that top line of 20-year-olds with, the Dawson LaRue's and the Ben Tkachuks of the world. And then, it got a little bit younger, and those guys had those second D matchups, Riley Ash, Zach Summers, and they really exploded as a result. Not taking nothing away from those guys. Those guys were dynamite players in our league, and they turned that dynamic talent into Division I scholarships. Of course, Zach Summers as well to the University of Maine. So clearly they're doing something right up in Melfort.
Well, and you talk about Melfort Mustangs and wanting to continue that youth movement. They got 4 picks in the opening 2 rounds. So we're going to hear Melfort Mustang and Trevor Blevins draft a lot of players in the opening going here of the draft show.
Yeah, and now they're ready to share their pick.
Teo Fleury was selected by the Melfort Mustangs with their 5th pick overall. Following Melfort in the draft this year is the Nipawin Hawks. The Nipawin Hawks hold the 6th pick. Coach Tad Kozin from Nipawin, you are on the clock.
So Teo Fleury, Battleford Stars, hometown Saskatoon, and now headed to Melfort.
Yeah, this is one of my top defensemen, right with Jackson Herchak. You had him on your players to watch board. And when you talk Melfort, you got to know that they're going to have 6 good defensemen ready to play. Teo Fleury fits right in with that system. I love it.
He fits in perfectly, and I said there weren't that many big, mean defensemen in this draft, and Trevor Blevins is happy to go high in the draft to pick a mean kid. And Teo Fleury, you know, from a Battleford Stars program that keeps developing individuals. We saw Jake Southgate, we saw Zane Florence, we saw, you know, all those Battleford North Stars players from the Battlefords do that. You know, Teo Fleury is one of those players that fit perfectly in Melfort.
And continuing with round one, back to Commissioner Kyle.
This year with the 6th overall pick, it's the Nipawin Hawks, and I'd like to turn it over to Coach Tad Kozin.
With the 6th overall selection, the Nipawin Hawks would like to select from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Will Witter.
Congratulations to Will Witter. Now with the Nipawin Hawks, and what a great pick.
Yeah, I know he was high on a lot of people's boards, Nugsy, right? You know, I'm a 5'10", 155 pounds forward here out of Prince Albert, but already playing AAA, which is what a lot of these early picks are going to look like. They want them having that 1-year experience. Could be ready to step in next year with Nipawin. They got a lot of young players up front as well that are ready to take the next step. I know Will Witter was on a high on a lot of people's boards.
Yeah, he's a draft pick of the Victoria Royals in the Western Hockey League as well. And one thing that I like about Will Witter, big score in Bantam, U15, where we're supposed to call it these days. And then he went and learned under Tim Leonard there in the PA Mintos, and very structured, very hard to play against old school. So he went from a high-flying guy, had to learn, had to develop, had to pay his dues at the PA Mintos AAA, and stay there and do a great job, I'm sure, and continue to get his role bigger as guys have moved on from the Mintos. So, you know, certainly I think Tad Kozin paying attention to a development arc of a kid who just keeps getting better in all 3 zones of the ice.
It's been an exciting start to the first round here, guys. We're at the halfway point. Overall thoughts so far?
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see the players that are gone off the board. You're talking about Teo Fleury, right? One of the meanest defensemen, you know, most kind of maybe ready to play defenseman in the SJHL, go to Melfort. Leo Seitz with Flin Flon's powerful forward and power play. He's going to fit right in. So I see what these scouting staffs are doing. I think they've paired a lot of good players with their respective teams so far.
And now moving along, Commissioner Kyle.
With the 7th overall pick, we're going to go to the Battlefords, home of the SJHL 2023 champions.
With our first pick in the 2023 draft, we're pleased to select Sam Kerwin from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan.
Just keep bolstering that Saskatchewan talent, and what a get for the Battlefords North Stars.
Yeah, he's the top 07 scorer in the league in U18 AA this year with the Swift Current Broncos. Well over a point per game, 55 points in 33 games. And he's another one that's going to be an offensive threat sooner rather than later. But when you can pick up the top scorer in his age in the league, it's never a bad miss. So 6th overall there for the North Stars.
Yeah,
that's part of me.
Sorry, yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. Obviously, Sam, dynamic offensive talent, Swift Current kid. His brother, his twin brother, also a potential top 20 pick in the draft. We'll see if maybe Battlefords goes out and gets his twin brother, who's a defenseman, very talented kid too, or part of out of Gull Lake, but they were Swift Current minor hockey kids. And yeah, dynamic talent, not the biggest, but size hasn't really scared Battlefords in the past. And if there's one guy that's prepared in this league, it's Wiley Riendo up in Battlefords, does an incredible job scouting, watches too many hockey games probably for his family's liking. But yeah, the Kerwin kid is a big one, and one that people were really expecting to go very high in this draft.
And now we're seeing the talent in 7 picks, just 7 picks, across all of Saskatchewan hockey landscape, as we've had a AAA player be drafted, we've had a CSSHL player be drafted, and now we've had a AA player be drafted. So all 3 have been covered. It's only taken 7 picks.
Love to see it. And again, that homegrown talent, I know it's been a big push for the league as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think year after year, you kind of see more of these young players be ready to step in, ready to play, and not only ready to play, but ready to take on a hefty load of games, right? We know they only play 30-some in AAA and AA. It's a heavier schedule against bigger, stronger, older competition, but they just seem to be coming ready sooner rather than later, and more every year.
Yeah, and you know, I should mention that the Kerwin twins also going to be playing AAA next year with the Swift Current Legionnaires. So again, not super far from home, and they'll be playing against the best, you know, U18 in our province. So they'll be ready to show what they can really do next year.
Here to tell us about the next pick, it's Commissioner Kyle.
This year's 8th overall pick belongs to the Humboldt Broncos. I would like to welcome Coach General Manager Scott Barney. And Scott, you're on the clock.
The Humboldt Broncos are proud to select with the 8th pick from Saskatoon, Rylan Hugh.
So Rylan Hugh going to the Humboldt Broncos team, Rory, you know very well.
Yeah, and I mean, Hugh, another offensive threat for a forward, another winning pedigree 2 years ago in U15 AA. You know, he's got the size already as a young kid, just shy of 6 feet tall. He's a well skater. He's drafted into the WHL, 129th overall. But, you know, if Scott Barney and his scouting staff have an eye on a guy, they believe he's going to come, he's going to contribute, and he's going to try to secure that NCAA Division I commitment. But Rylan Hugh, just another threat up front for the Humboldt Broncos.
Yeah, he's a threat up front, a winner, as you said, with the Saskatoon Bandits, U15 a couple of years ago. And I should also say, you think about Rylan Hugh, I kind of think of the model that Scott Barney loves, just in terms of like a Cage Newens, kind of a good blend of mean and heavy and hard to play against, can also score goals. So he's very smart. Again, a lot of scouts were high on him, including the Saskatoon Blades, by the way, of the Western Hockey League, who have drafted him as well. But, you know, again, a perfect fit for the Humboldt Broncos. What you think of a Humboldt forward?
And now back to Commissioner Kyle with the next pick.
This year's 9th overall pick belongs to the Melfort Mustangs, so we're going to go out to Coach General Manager Trevor Blevins in Melfort. You are on the clock.
Thanks, Kyle. Melfort Mustangs, with their 9th pick overall, are pleased to select from Tisdale, Saskatchewan, Jackson Carrig.
So Melfort again, we had them pick earlier, and now they've made their second selection of the day early on.
Yeah, and the second one off of Newsy's player to watch board there is now off with Jackson Carrig. So they go with the big, heavy, mean defenseman with their first pick, and now they pick another offensively gifted guy. 18 points in 29 games in his first season of AAA. That's good production for a young kid who's ready to make that next step next year.
Yeah, and you think about like a Matt Van Blaricom, how he was able to jump right into the Humboldt Broncos because he had plenty of opportunity with the Tisdale Trojans to grow and develop and learn and play some ice time. And Jackson Carrig had plenty of ice time as well with the Tisdale Trojans this past year. And just like their other pick, Tau Flory, he's a physical, big, mean guy. Tau Flory is a big, physical, mean defenseman. Carrig is a big, physical, mean forward. You know, that's what the Melfort Mustangs want to go for, to kind of replace that with, you know, the Ben Tkaczyks of the world moving on. So again, kind of a nice fit. Not nice to go into the Northern Lights Palace if you're another team.
I mean, you look at Jackson Carrig as well. He was 6th in this league in terms of goal scoring the year before in U15 AA with the Northeast Wolfpack. Scored 37 goals in 31 games.
Yeah.
So you talk about a little bit of a match with, you know, tenacity, with skill, with able to bury the puck, which every team needs. Yeah. Jackson Carrig, there you go.
And I should say, too, he's a pretty high Western Hockey League
81st
prospect,
overall.
4th round. But I should also say that the Melfort Mustangs have track record, of course, now with Riley Ash and more, who were guys who had Western Hockey League interest, coming there and saying, hey, we will find you a D1 program if that's what you are interested in. And they can say to Riley Ash got his Nebraska Omaha spot, Jackson Carrig, why don't you trust us with your future as well? And again, they have that track record. They win every year. It seems like the Melfort Mustangs, they go far every year, I mean. And so, you know, Trevor Blevins knows how to deal with these kids and does a great job. And, you know, I really like that pick because he's physically mature, and not all these kids are.
You know, we have a little moment of time here where I want to also touch on just the development of these young players, right? We have a couple from Saskatoon. I believe actually now we are ready for the next pick. We'll circle back to that, but Commissioner Kyle, the floor is yours.
With the 10th pick in this year's draft, we're going out to Wilcox, Saskatchewan, to the Notre Dame Hounds. Dion, you are on the clock.
Thanks, Kyle. Notre Dame would like to select from the Regina Vics, Cruz Klapik.
First pick out of Regina for today, so that's exciting, and a good get for the Hounds.
Yeah, you know what? He's not big, but he's very highly thought of, even at the Western Hockey League level, just because he doesn't play small. He is fast, he's quick, he is explosive, he is offensively gifted, as you should see his stats right there. 51 points in 36 games, right at the top of the AA U18 league. Again, remember, that's he would have been a 15-year-old playing against 16, 17-year-olds as well. So take that for a lot as well. Cruz is going to learn to play the defensive game. He's going to learn his own end very well by Darren McKechnie there with the Pats Canadians this year. And Regina, about 25 minutes, 30 minutes just north of Wilcox. So that connection, he can go up and down, he can practice, he can be part of the team. And I really, really like this pick for Notre Dame, especially because they have international ice down in Wilcox.
All right, and Humboldt, or rather, I believe Commissioner Kyle is ready with the next pick.
With the 11th overall pick, we're going back out to Scott Barney in Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Scott, you're on the clock.
Thanks, Kyle. With the 11th pick, we select from Saudi Riker Namath.
Humboldt Broncos now with their second pick of the day in the first round.
Yeah, the second team now to scoop up 2 picks in the opening round, joining the Melfort Mustangs. Riker Namath, 5'8", 140 pounds, so maybe, grows a little bit, played a little bit with the Moose Jaw Warriors, already some AAA experience, U18, 3 points in 8 games. An interesting little tidbit about Riker as well. His cousin, a former Bronco, cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but Chase Namath, who was going to try to play for the Humboldt Broncos in that championship venture before the season was ended, his younger cousin, Riker, is now drafted by the Humboldt Broncos as well.
Yeah, and as we can see, he goes by Charlie more often than not, but whatever, that's what his name is. But the thing about him at 5'8", even though he's 5'8", very well-rounded, very positionally smart. You can play defense even if you're not that big. If you're in the right spot, you use your stick well, and that's Charlie Namath's game. He's going to defend well for you.
Top of his team in points too in the last 2 seasons. Second in U15 AA. Led his team last year with Lumsden Bethune Lions in U18 AA. So offensive talent is there as well for Humboldt.
So much talent so far, and here to help close out the opening round, it's Commissioner Kyle.
Closing out our first round, we're going back to the CANTERRA SEEDS Cup champion, North Battleford North Stars. Wiley, you are on the clock.
For second pick in the first round, 12th overall, Battleford's North Stars are proud to select from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan, Will Kerwin.
There you have it. It's almost like Jamie willed it into being. What a great way to round out the opening round.
There you go. They get the twins. They get them to come together. Gull Lake, of course, not that far away. I believe their captain a couple of years ago, Cody Spagrud, also from Gull Lake. And so there's a connection between Battleford's and Gull Lake already. So they have that. And obviously, they're not going to pick somebody unless Wiley Riendo there says that he's a good player. And these are 2 excellent players. These twins were expected, as I said, to both go in the top 20. Very special for that family. You don't see that super often where both twins are sort of a similar caliber. Smaller defenseman, but a great power play quarterback defenseman that you're always looking for. And, again, very excited for the Kerwin family to have both of them moving on there.
I know another pair of brothers on the Battleford's North Stars that had a pretty good SJHL career in the Loon Stewartsons as well. So the Kerwins can replicate that in Battleford's. What a moment there for those 2 brothers to be drafted by the same team in the first round.
Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer, myself, Daniella Ponticelli. What a great opening round of the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. And of course, our supporting sponsors today, Chevy, CANTERRA SEEDS, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. We want to say congratulations to all the players already selected, and of course, there's plenty more rounds still ahead. This is the 2023 SJHL Draft.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Welcome back to the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. We are live from IKS Media Studios in Regina. I am Daniella Ponticelli alongside Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer, your SJHL insiders, bringing you so much great insight onto the players getting picked. The first round already done just that quickly. 2007 born players still up ahead here in round 2. We'll be heading over to Commissioner Kyle McIntyre.
Beginning our second round, the 13th pick overall belongs to the Melfort Mustangs. Trevor Blevins, back to you in Melfort.
Thanks, Kyle. With the first pick in the second round, the Melfort Mustangs are proud to select from Warman, Trey Marcus.
So Melfort with their first pick in round 2, but their third in the draft so far.
Nugsy keeps on doing it. His third one on his player to watch. And you maybe thought that Melfort was eyeing up Trey Marcus in the first round with one of their 2 picks. Lo and behold, they get him with their third overall pick. So nice scoop up for Melfort here is one they were clearly looking at, and clearly one that you were looking at as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well. Totally different forward than Jackson Carrig, who they took in the first round. This guy is much more offense and electric, and he loves to attack. He tries things. He's got a great shot. Watched a lot of his goals. He attacks the box, and he has a bullet of a shot. Like, you're going to love him up in Melfort because he can score goals, and that's not easy to find, as you guys know. But his dad, Todd, a alumni, of course, of the Melfort Mustangs as well. So you have that family connection. He's a guy that the Mustangs, I know, knew were hoping to draft at some point. I thought it may be higher, as you said, but they got their guy in the second round. I think so far Melfort's having an incredible draft. Yeah. They got Flory and Carrick, they got big boys, and they got the electric offense in Marcus, who's going to play, by the way, for Courage Bear up in the Warman Wildcats AAA this year. And boy, did they churn out players year after year now.
And the second round just heating up here. Back to Commissioner Kyle.
Okay. With the 14th pick overall, we're going out to the Kindersley Clippers and Clayton Jardine. Clayton, you are on the clock.
With the 14th overall pick in the SJHL draft, the Kindersley Clippers are proud to select from Kindersley, Saskatchewan, Price Thiessen.
Love a good hometown pick, and a good one at that for the Kindersley Clippers.
Yeah, Price Thiessen now another one of the AAA players already this year in his rookie season, 15 points in 44 games for the left shot forward. But yeah, you know what? Clayton Jardine wants to put his blueprint on this team early. He's back with the team he coached a few years ago, the last time they were in the SJHL playoffs. And already Jackson Herchak and now Price Thiessen is 2 pretty good gets for the Kindersley Clippers in the opening 2 rounds.
Yeah, and you heard him say there was a family connection with Kindersley there. He goes to the blue paint. He doesn't worry about scoring pretty goals. He knows where goals are in the blue paint area. He's a gritty guy, and he's a very good forechecker. I think that's one thing that the Kindersley Clippers are going to really want moving forward is guys who stop the puck on breakouts and make things happen with turnovers, and Price Thiessen is certainly that.
Commissioner Kyle now to introduce a team we haven't heard from yet today.
With the 15th pick overall, we're going to go out to Yorkton and coach and general manager Matt Hare. Matt, you are on the clock.
We would like to select defenseman from Langenburg, Saskatchewan, Max Threinen.
And I actually got that wrong. Yorkton Terriers already had a pick early on, just a little earlier today. No big deal. So this is their second.
Yeah, and it's kind of a similar swing to what I compared, Jackson Herchak to be. It's 94th overall in the WHL, but it's another defenseman, big, 6'2", 190, left shot on the blue line, and also can put up some points. You saw at U15 AA, 44 points in 29 games as a defenseman. That's something that every team converts, and they're going to look for that in Max Threinen.
Yeah, and the thing about him, too, is he's from Langenburg, which is not that far away from Yorkton. So that's a big thing when you compare it to Prince George in the Western League where he's drafted. That's very far away where he's from. Let's just do some geography for you. So there you go. Matt Hare getting a bit of a local guy in there, and I think that's very important for all minor hockey systems. Yorkton needing, a local kid and Threinen. You talked about I talked about Tao Flory early. Big boy, not that many in the draft. Here's a big boy again. Great pick for Yorkton where he's at.
And we'll move right along back to Commissioner Kyle.
The 16th pick overall originally belonged to Notre Dame. That was traded to Humboldt. So we're going out to Humboldt, Saskatchewan, and coach Scott Barney.
Thanks, Kyle. With the 15th pick, we're proud to select the first goalie in the draft from Saskatoon, Hudson Malinowski. Grayson Malinowski. Let me do that one again. I'll do her again for you here.
We love it. I mean, this is live, right? This is what it's all about. And the first goalie as well in the draft taken by the Broncos.
Yeah, at 16th overall is going to be the first netminder in Grayson Malinowski now, who just put up a great season with the champion Saskatoon Blazers, right? In the regular season, 18-4 was his record, a 243 goals against average and a 917 save percentage, just around that 6 foot tall at 15 years old. So, I mean, it's 16 years old, pardon me, but yeah, the Humboldt Broncos are the first one to take a netminder, and it's with the 16th overall pick, so it didn't take long.
Yeah, U18 national championship experience. The Seattle Thunderbirds playing in the Memorial Cup right now. They have other eyes on him too, but again, as you can see, not big. But the thing that I like about Grayson Malinowski, usually for goalies that are young, there's some sort of hole, there's some sort of thing that you can kind of poke at, but he's so polished for a kid his age. And yes, the Saskatoon Blazers had all the weaponry in the world, high WHL picks, you name it. Grayson Malinowski had to bail them out at different times throughout the year, including up into the U18 national championship. And so, he was rock solid for the Blazers all year long with a young team in front of him. Did a great job, and that's a good swing for the Humboldt Broncos.
We talked about winning pedigree. That's now the third Saskatoon Blazer drafted in the opening 16 picks for the AAA U18 champions and the bronze medal in the TELUS Cup.
We are already ready for the next pick. Over to you, Commissioner Kyle.
Well, moments ago, we had a trade between LaRange and Weyburn. Weyburn sent its 17th pick overall to LaRange in exchange for player Jacob Vicentini and a 32nd pick overall. So Rob Fiala from the LaRange Ice Wolves, you're on the clock.
Thank you, Kyle. The LaRange Ice Wolves would like to select with the 17th pick in the SJ draft from Regina, Saskatchewan, Logan Mail.
Another Regina player now in the draft, in the mix, and it's just exciting to see where all the talent is coming from across the province.
Yeah, what's exciting to see, that's a draft on the fly and on the show trade alerts as LaRange goes in and takes the pick from the Weyburn Red Wings in exchange for a player, but a good get for the LaRange Ice Wolves. That's their first pick of the draft.
Yeah, and you know, if you're going to play in LaRange, you got to be on the bigger side most of the time, physical, not afraid of getting your nose dirty. He went back and forth between the AA Vics and the AAA Pat C's, and he will play Pat C's this year coming up. But boy, great shot, as you saw there. He was one of the top scorers at his age group in the AA U18 league, so he was a guy who was used to being relied on. And just like with Clappick going to Notre Dame, McKechnie is going to coach him well in the D zone there at the Pat C's, and you know, Kevin Kaminski and his staff are going to love a guy that doesn't mind the rough stuff, doesn't mind mixing it up. Interesting to deal the Vizentini there quickly. Just a great servant for LaRange, played a hard, good face-off man as well, and I think he'll fit really nicely in what Cody Mapes wants to do in Weyburn.
Still in the second round here of the 2023 SJHL Draft, and back to Commissioner Kyle McIntyre.
All right, the 18th pick overall belongs to the Nipawin Hawks, so we're going to go to Nipawin to Coach Tad Kozin. Tad?
With the 18th overall selection, the Nipawin Hawks are proud to select Sean Shields.
There you have it. Nipawin again with a great selection here and another one to add to their ranks.
Yeah, and this was one that I was expecting to go in the first couple rounds. You know, an electric forward out of Saskatoon, can put up the points, a late WHL draft pick, but you look at it there, 38 points in 33 games. Sean Shields and Nipawin to pair with, you know, a couple other of these offensive threats that they took, Will Witter in the first round. Those are two big guys who could fill the net, so that's a good pick for Nipawin. Yeah, and if there was one word that we could use to describe the Nipawin Hawks under Tad Kozin so far, it is speed. Yeah. And Sean Shields has a lot of speed. The Saskatoon River Kings, I expect to have that name said a lot the rest of the draft, and Shields is one of those, going to the Saskatoon Contacts AAA next year, but fits right into what Tad Kozin wants. He wants a team full of speed demons, and Shields is another one. Elevated his game in the playoffs too, when it matters the most, 17 points in 14 games. So you definitely want to see that when teams go on deep runs, when the game gets harder. Can you play the same way? And Sean Shields can.
And I just want to touch on the fact that you mentioned it earlier. These are hectic seasons, so to speak, once you get playing and get going, and they can go very deep, as we've seen for some of the teams. You know, is that another factor, like looking at these players, who's going to be able to really hold that commitment?
Well, it's a great point, Danielle. Like, we've talked about it with those Blazers kids that have been picked so far. We talked about Bandits, you know, U15s, guys that are used to winning. Can you do what you're asked when it's time to win, when it's time to block a shot, when it's time to bear down? And, you know, like the Leo Seitzes of the world and the Preston Bearwalds of the world and the Sean Shields of the world, they know what it takes to win when that moment has come. The River Kings had another great year. They seem to produce young players all year after year for the Saskatoon and Warman AAA teams. But yeah, just another one that, as you said there, Daniela, has a little bit more seasoning because he has more games to him.
And it's also just been so great to see the diversity of clubs, like where everybody's coming from. I know Rory touched on that too. Just how many touch points there are in this province to get kids up to this junior level.
Yeah, you know, and if you don't hear your name called in the SJHL draft, it doesn't mean that you can't be an SJHL player one time. We've seen a lot of those players come into the league as well, but it's being spread out 100%. AAA, we've seen the majority of it come from that league. Little more seasoning being played as a 2007 born already as a rookie in AAA, and then we've had a couple CSS and, you know, a bunch of AA now, Sean Shields being one of them. He led the league in playoff points for the River Kings and won the championship. So that's enough seasoning for me to know that he's ready for the next step.
We are flying through this draft, at least in the first and second rounds already. We're about halfway through this one, still waiting for that next selection to be ready. But overall, Jamie, what are your thoughts and impressions?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of guys have gone that we expected to go pretty high. Like, nobody's gone too far out of left field and blown us away in terms of, oh, where did that guy come from? But yeah, I mean, I think guys are paying attention. Their scouting directors are thinking along similar lines, and you know, for the bigger guys, they're big and mean and they're physical, and the smaller guys are certainly ones that can really skate in this day and age. There's not too many guys that are, you know, a little bit just hockey IQ and slower but small. Like, if you're going to be small these days, these kids are picking. They're fast kids, and that's what we've seen. Again, it's interesting to see how teams continue to stay with their identity, stay with their mold. Melfort with the big boys, you know, Nipawin with the speed boys. You know, it's very interesting, you know, to see them stay with their identity.
In total, 13 forwards have been picked. You got 4 defensemen and 1 goaltender. So you're definitely coveting the speed, the goal scoring ability up front. And we've seen the top ready-to-play defensemen go off the board. But forwards right now, 13-4 in terms of the opening 18 picks.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Again, this is the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. And now's another great chance to thank our supporting sponsors, Chevy, CANTERRA Seeds, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. Wherever you're joining us from, thank you for being here today. It is a big day, of course, for the teams, the families, everyone. Jamie and Rory, your SJHL insiders, have been absolutely terrific so far, and you do so much work throughout the season and, of course, for this big day, Jamie.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rory and I both, you know, we do work hard. We have to say thank you to all the people that we've asked and given their opinions. People are so generous with their thoughts as well. People just love talking about players and talking about hockey in this province, and people are very generous with their time. So, you know, thank you to everybody that helped me and helped Rory as well, even though we put in the work too. But those people too know who they are. We really appreciate you.
Let's remember, credit where it's due to Jamie Neugebauer, everyone. We just got word that we can recap our first round, which is just fantastic. If you're just joining us, we're in the middle of the second, just waiting to continue right now. But here's another look back at how things shook up in the opening round.
Yeah, it starts with Preston Bearwald, and he's always going to have the title of being the first overall pick, you know, in the SJHL draft. Melville made him that selection. And then I just want to take a peek at the other guys who had multiple picks, and you can kind of see them spice it around. Tale Fleury and Jackson Carrick, 1 forward, 1 defense for the Melfort Mustangs, pardon me. Ryland Hugh and Riker Namath, 1 forward, 1 defense for the Humboldt Broncos. Sam and Will Kerwin, 1 forward, 1 defense. Twins for the Battlefords North Stars.
Yeah, what a great story.
Yeah, they really are finding prospects everywhere, but it's a good looking first board, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing, you know, a lot of them definitely within the next 2 seasons, probably some of them next year in the SJHL. It's always fun to see and kind of watch these players come in when they do. Yeah,
I want to talk about Kieran Osberg to the Yorkton Terriers for a second. And, you know, he's the one kid on this board that played CSSHL there with the Prairie Hockey Academy, but he's coached by a guy in Rob Halayan that used to, of course, be the assistant in Battleford. So people very familiar with him. And again, that U17 prep PHA team was great. So good for Yorkton to go there.
And now back to round 2. This is the 21st, or rather the 19th overall pick. We'll have a look right now on screen. This one, Bennett Leibel. He's going to the Flin Flon Bombers.
The second pick right now of the Flin Flon Bombers, and once again, there it is, another Saskatoon River King. So another player who went deep into playoffs, who won their championship with the respective team, and now it's Leo Seitz and Bennett Leibel for the Flin Flon Bombers. They acquired this pick originally from the Estevan Bruins. If people are wondering, well, Flin Flon shouldn't be picking in this spot, they did acquire it earlier in the season from Estevan.
Yeah, we just had a little bit of a communication blip there, but Bennett Leibel, just fantastic. Congratulations. We'll come back to him in just a moment. But right now on the clock, I believe it's the Kindersley Clippers. We'll get confirmation on that. But I know, Rory, you had another point to make about Leibel.
Well, I know Nugsy had a bunch to say about him too, but it's a right shot defenseman. And we know how, you know, coveted those are for teams, especially one that can put up points like Bennett did with the River Kings. 25 points, 33 games, right shot D-man. And, you know, now Flin Flon has their 2 picks. They go 1 forward, 1 D-man.
Yeah, there you go.
And one of the things you think about Mike Reagan and the Flin Flon Bombers every single year. Incredible power play, and this guy is a power play magician. He is so good at the top of that AA River Kings power play. He's going to do it for the Contacts next year, AAA. And one of those guys that when you buy a ticket, go watch the Contacts, you pay attention to him. He's a guy that a lot of teams, let me tell you, probably all 12 teams had on their board interested to take him at some point, and he'll grow and become bigger and stronger. Don't worry about that in this day and age, but he's a talented kid. He can really put up points for you. I
was going to say, these guys are all young, plenty of time to grow, and I believe now we are ready for the next selection.
Well, earlier this morning, we had a trade between Kindersley and Estevan. So Estevan sent to Kindersley their 20th pick overall, and Kindersley sent defenseman Liam Bell to the Estevan Bruins. So Clayton Jardine and Kindersley, you are on the clock.
With the 20th overall pick in the SJHL draft, the Kindersley Clippers are proud to select Brady Simpson from Swift Current.
Lots to break down, but first of all, congratulations to Brady Simpson.
Yeah, he's a dependable D-man. He's sort of long and lanky and rangy. You know, he'll grow again, develop, but you see he's already 5'11", big time, rolled 20 points in 36 games as a defenseman in Swift Current AA, and another guy that is going to play, I believe, for the Yorkton Maulers, so he's going to get some good coaching from Daryl Mann and get some ice time with the Yorkton Maulers as well, so it's a good fit for him. You know, talented kid. Again, a lot of coaches interested in guys who can create offense from the back end. Defenseman highly coveted in this draft, I think, just in general, but you know, he's dependable first and foremost. He'll put up some points for you because he's a smart kid, and I think it fits perfect.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier in the show. In round one, Kindersley's got a lot of young talent up front. So what does Clayton Jardine do in the first couple of rounds? He grabs two really good defensemen to pair with that youth movement that they already have up front.
So 20 picks in overall, and still in round two here. Now over to Commissioner Kyle McIntyre.
The 21st pick overall belongs to the Melfort Mustangs. Coach Blevins, you're on the clock.
Thanks, Kyle. We're proud to select from Lumsden, Cale Johns.
And another congratulations to the Melfort Mustangs. With all their picks, they are really making something out of this 2023 draft.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy couple caps coming up for the Melfort Mustangs when they have all these young players that they drafted last year and now 4 picks in the opening 21. So Trevor Blevins, you made it a key to trade with some of these teams, keep their own picks, get a youth movement coming in, and now these kids will battle it out in the next couple of years for some spots.
Yeah, he's getting diversity too, Melfort. He had the power and Flory and Carrig. I talked about the electric offensive Marcus, who's another offensive, on the smaller side guy. So he's just filling his cupboard in Melfort, and this kid had lots of opportunity with the Lumsden Bethune Lions AA, and he'll keep getting, more and more opportunity moving forward. Again, with the Yorkton Maulers, 2 Maulers going back and forth.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to see his photo there, but again, with the 21st overall pick, Melfort Mustangs and Cale Johns. Did you want to speak more about him on the program there,
Well,
Jamie?
I'd just like to actually mention, the trade that was made before, Liam Bell, what a great servant he's been, played for Nipawin, played hard for them, played for Kindersley, played hard for them, 20-year-old guy. I think he really fits what Jason Tatarnic wants at Estevan, a physical, hard-nosed, kind of mean, experienced defenseman, takes no prisoners. He's got a big shot too. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. He hasn't done that a little while, but a wonderful, wonderful young man from Saskatoon, and had great success in AAA. I'll wish him all the best at Affinity Place with Estevan.
Yeah, Liam Bell, always a treat to watch, and what a great talent. I love, though, Jamie, it seems like if folks are just joining us, that maybe everyone's a little mean in the SJHL. Well, sure. when they need to be, or really speedy. See, I'm really getting a flavor for it.
Yeah.
These are the words that we'll post up. All right, we're moving ahead, I believe, on to the next selection. Commissioner Kyle.
Now, with both audio and the 22nd pick, we'll go to Flin Flon to John Clausen. John, you're on the clock.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. With the 22nd pick overall, Bombers are proud to select from Whitewood, Hudson Brehat.
And another congratulations going out to the next selection, Hudson, and another great pick for the Bombers.
Yeah, one I had starred out of the CSSHL, right? Played for the Rink Hockey Academy in Winnipeg this year, 47 points in 34 games. So he was 5th on his team in points. They had a lot of offensive guys, but Hudson Brehot there, now the second player in the draft drafted out of the CSSHL.
Yeah, I guess I'm contractually obligated to say he was a Notre Dame kid at one point.
Right.
But anyways, he's going to go play. Yeah, contractually obligated. AAA, Warman, Wildcats as well, so they're comfortable knowing he's coming back to Sask to play, even though Flin Flon is out in the other province there. But, you know, Hudson, very talented guy. He developed a lot there at Rink, where they're doing such a wonderful job. You look at, you know, the NCAA and the Western Hockey League, there's so many Rink Academy kids there now. And Hudson really flourished there. I think his speed and his ability and his instincts to put pucks in the net are something that people are really interested to see. And yeah, good to see CSSHL kids get picked too.
So what you're telling me is he's going to really light things up in Flin Flon when he gets the chance.
Mike Reagan puts great teams there, so yeah.
And you two have spent a decent amount of time in Flin Flon lately, being the fact that they made it to the finals 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, we certainly have. And, you know, it's always special to play in the Whitney Forum, let alone in playoffs in the Whitney Forum. It's a whole different animal. So guys like, you know, Leo Seitz and Hudson Brehot and other players that are going to be drafted by the Flin Flon Bombers. It's one of the most historic organizations in all of Canadian junior hockey. About that team, what they've done, the players they've put on to the NHL, the building, everything they do. And they're a juggernaut every year. I don't see them ever being bad. They always seem to have a good team on the ice. And it's a tough team to crack as a youngster. Yeah. But these players, you know, hopefully will be ready next year, potentially as a 17-year-old.
Yeah, well, I mean, Mike Reagan has given young players opportunity too, and he, you know, a word that made you angry that I said earlier in the year was he insulates them with experienced, talented kids, and that's, you know, what they do in the Flin Flon Bombers. They don't force kids into spots that they aren't going to succeed, and you know, obviously another point about Hudson Brehot that is interesting too is that Mike Reagan's goalie coach. Ferguson down there is in the Winnipeg area, so paying close attention to the Rink team, as everybody is. So there you go. Hudson really exploded last year. Good for him.
Congratulations to him and everyone else who's been selected already as we move forward here in round 2. Commissioner Kyle.
With the 23rd pick overall, we're going out to Munster, Saskatchewan, where the Humboldt Broncos' Scott Barney will be making that pick.
Thanks, Kyle. We're proud to select from Saskatoon, Christian LaSalle.
Humboldt picks from Saskatoon once again.
Yeah, and Christian LaSalle, as we pull up my notes here, 4th pick for the Humboldt Broncos, and they're getting another one out of the Saskatoon River Kings. They're going back to forward, so pairing them with 3 forwards and 1 defense so far. The Humboldt Broncos make their, 2 forwards, 1 defense, and a goaltender that the Humboldt Broncos pick in the opening 23. They're going to have a little bit of a break now, as I don't think they have a 3rd or 4th round pick for Humboldt. I'll have to double check that, but they got their first 4 picks in the opening 23, spread it all across the board, and there's a little bit of information about Christian LaSalle from the Saskatoon River Kings, another champion, 27 points in 31 games for the forward.
Yeah, he's just a buzzsaw type of player, very energetic around the blue paint, and he was the MVP of the River Kings in the playoffs this past year as well, over a point per game in the playoffs. So a winner, as well as you guys, as you were talking about there, Rory, and that's important too to Scott Barney and Christian. You know, another one of those River Kings that are well developed and talented. We expect them, you know, to be good right away for AAA Saskatoon there in the Saskatoon Blazers.
Well, gentlemen, we are now about to close out round 2, and this is also the final selection where we will hear from the coaches themselves. We want to thank all the coaches who've joined in the draft already. Now over to you, Commissioner Kyle McIntyre.
With the 24th pick overall, we're going out to Canada's Centennial Cup silver medalists, the North Battleford North Stars.
Thanks, Kyle. With the 24th overall pick, the Battleford's North Stars are pleased to select from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Gage Nagel.
The second selection from Moose Jaw in the first 2 rounds, and what a way to close it out from Battleford's.
Yeah, and Gage Nagel he's going to be, I think, an offensive phenom in this league. He's playing U18 prep hockey right now with Prairie Hockey Academy, but, nearly a point per game with them, 5'11", 160. I've starred him on my list. And Sam Kerwin, Will Kerwin, Gage Nagel, Battleford's North Stars, I think they've knocked the first 2 rounds out of the park here.
Yeah, he's a guy with a lot of offensive instincts. He still needs to become a better skater in my mind, but the offensive instincts, are there. Put him with the right guys. He's going to put pucks in the net. The Lethbridge Hurricanes, of course, picked him too, and he's going to go play with a bunch of kids that have already picked with the Moose Jaw Warriors U18 AAA and continue to grow there with other PHA kids and be in a comfortable spot where he knows. So he's a talented young guy. He knows where to put the puck in the net. He developed a lot at Notre Dame when he was there, developed a lot at PHA there, and he's gone to some good spots. So great pick right there by Battlefords. They know what they're doing.
So the first 2 rounds are already done. This is the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL, and we again want to thank all our supporting sponsors today: Chevy, CANTERRA Seeds, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. I'm Daniella Ponticelli, Rory McGouran, and Jamie Neugebauer, your SJHL insiders. The panel will be right back after a quick break. Again, you're watching the 2023 SJHL Draft.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Welcome back to the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. We are coming to you live from IKS Media Studios in Regina. I'm Daniella Ponticelli alongside a fantastic panel of SJHL insiders, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. And it has been an exciting start to the day. I mean, 24 talented young players through 2 rounds. And right now what's happening is the 3rd round is underway. Teams are starting to make their selections again in order, and we will bring that to you as they happen. But first, we have a special guest joining us right now. It's Commissioner, and he is standing by.
All right,
Commissioner,
thank you,
great to have you with us. Joining us, draft day, back and better than ever this year. How important is this day for you and, of course, the league?
Well, I think first and foremost, Daniela, it's important for kids and their families. A very exciting day for many of our prospects throughout the province of Saskatchewan. And certainly for our league, we're coming off an outstanding 2023 season. North Battleford had an exceptional run this year through our league and through playoffs and represent us well at the Centennial Cup. And so certainly for many of our teams, this is an opportunity to reload and to plan and get better for the future so they too can compete for an SJHL championship.
And you've had a full season now as commissioner. What are some of the strengths and, of course, what are some of the efforts being made to retain that Saskatchewan talent right here at home?
Well, I think some of the strengths, like you'll see this year, we had a brand new team last year at draft time, and so Jacob Faith and Jeremy Corrigan and myself, and certainly we were learning what one another were like as teammates, and certainly at the forefront of all our work is we want to promote our league, our players, especially our players and our teams, and especially our Saskatchewan talent. And so certainly our draft is important for retooling and putting the Saskatchewan back in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, and certainly we had an excellent season last year, and as we say in Saskatchewan, we tell America where we're going. We are going higher, we're going to do bigger and better things, and we're going to continue to be a premier junior hockey league in CJHL.
Yeah, Kyle, of course the success last year was bred off of a really successful 2022 draft. When you look at all the young players that were infused into the SJHL, you had 32 combined players play over 300 games and a lot of NCAA Division I commitment across all 12 teams. Just how do you compare last year's draft and then what we've already seen with these young kids coming up this year?
Well, it's certainly exciting, and usually when you have a draft, Rory, you don't think that someone's going to come in and be successful and contribute right away, and let alone get an NCAA Division I scholarship. So our 2006 class was an exceptional class. There's some very strong players. I know that we have some strong players in our 07, and I'm hearing that the 08 draft class is also very strong. So perhaps one of the names we're going to hear today, or we've heard so far today, are going to jump into a lineup and contribute right away.
Yeah, for sure, Kyle. Thank you so much for your time. As always, I got to ask you too, new format last year, drafting a year older than normal for most of the draft, and then a 2-round of the traditional sort of 14-year-olds. Do you see this format as a good one and one that you kind of see moving forward?
Well, I think it's a pretty good format, Jamie. Like the thing about drafts is that you're drafting based on potential, what a player may become in the future, right? So it's difficult. It's not like you're drafting many kids who can jump right into your lineup, but on occasion you'll have an exception, and those players can contribute right away. And I think the way that we have it is that, as I've said before, development is not a straight line. It's not a linear path. Sometimes there's peaks and sometimes there's valleys. So if a player was not chosen in the top 24 of the previous year, and they have a year of seasoning that follows them after that draft, they can certainly develop and change and grow and improve their skills and maybe their work ethic. So it's kind of a unique format, but I think it's one that works for our league and most importantly works for the players.
And you mentioned the Battleford North Stars, of course, looking at that roster that went all the way to the Centennial Cup finals. They had plenty of Saskatchewan-born players, and they built the blueprint, over the course of the last few seasons in order to get them to that position with Saskatchewan-born players, all the way throughout their line on forward and defense.
Yeah, when you look back at some of the previous drafts, and you can actually see where some of these kids stacked up in the draft or came into the draft, it's really quite amazing. It's quite exciting. And Marty Martinson from the Battlefords, of course, their play-by-play guy, and he's done a really good job chronicling that lately. But certainly the thing that I was most pleased about, you had 12 Saskatchewan kids in the lineup. You had 4 that were right from the minor hockey system in the Battlefords, and really, if that was a template that was going to be replicated throughout the league, I certainly believe that's the one that is a winning formula. And I'm certainly proud of the results of Battleford and Braden Klamosko and Gary Childerhouse, and I really especially appreciate their commitment to our Saskatchewan kids.
Yeah, last one from me, Kyle. You mentioned Brandon Klamosko and Garrett Schilderhose too in that last little bit. Just talk about the coaches in this league as well, in terms of, as well as the scouting staffs, because I think we've seen some great coaches in this league the last little while. You know, how happy are you with the collection of people that we're sending these kids to learn from?
Well, certainly, you know, my litmus test always is, would I want my own child playing for a particular coach? And over the last season, of course, I got to know all these coaches very well and form some pretty positive relationships with them. And I'm happy to say that every single coach in our league has strengths. Every single one of our coaches is player-centered, and there would not be a club that I wouldn't want my own son playing for. And so certainly anyone that gets drafted to any of our programs in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, we know that that's going to be a great place for your individual development. It's going to be a great place to learn and grow and become a better hockey player and to become a better person.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Commissioner Kyle. We'll be hearing from you again shortly.
Okay, thank you very much, folks.
Always great to hear from Commissioner Kyle, and what a great draft already flying by as well. During the interview, teams got their selections in for the third round. So our fantastic insiders, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer, we will be rolling through this one, giving respect as to each player. Congratulations again on the selections. But round 3, so with the 25th pick overall, it's the Melville Millionaires, and they select Jordan Abramets.
Yeah, I love this kid. I loved watching him just on highlight reels. He played AA with the PA, the Prince Albert Vulcans this past year, but he's going to be a Mintos regular this year coming up. And Melville's getting something that I'm not sure that they had a lot of last year. That's a lot of creativity on the back end. Very, very exciting. Doesn't mind trying stuff, and that's what I love about Jordan Abramets. Very talented defenseman.
Love it. So that's to kick off round 3 now. Second in round 3, 26th overall from the Kindersley Clippers, Brady Carr out of Vaughan.
Yeah, and I'd like to think that Clayton Jardine was looking at a goaltender throughout the early rounds. Brady Carr is going to fall to him in the third round. You know, it struggled a little bit in U18 AAA, had an .871 save percentage, but he's young, he's got good size, he's just shy of 6'2", which is, you know, when you're looking for a big goaltender, that's where you want him to be. And the year before, his numbers were great with a .910 save percentage, 10 wins with Battlefords in AA there the year before in U15. So maybe just a year of experience in AAA, and we'll see what he can do next year. But Kindersley and Clayton Jardine, their new head coach, gets their goalie that they've been looking for.
The third pick of round 3 goes to the Yorkton Terriers and Aiden Valance. Congratulations to Aiden.
Yeah, got Kieran Osberg's line mate from PHA
Perfect.
U17s there, and this guy has a ton of puck skills. He's a very talented guy. You know, he was the leading scorer on that team, and he was very, very, you know, fun to watch when he got the opportunity. Again, you can see he's got some decent size. He can really shoot the puck, and you know, you got guys who have instant chemistry with Unger and Valance, so good for them.
So the fourth pick in the third round, originally for the Notre Dame Hounds, then to the Kindersley Clippers. So Carter Cole will be heading to Kindersley.
Yeah, and you know what? I've loved Kindersley and not being afraid to take some swings here on some players that do have high draft picks into the WHL. Carter Cole is 83rd overall going to Red Deer that he was drafted, but he led his team in points in U15 with the Northwest Stars, 44 points in 30 games, 60 penalty minutes as well. He's 5'11", 145 pounds. And then this year, already AAA experience. But you know what? Clayton Jardine with Jackson Herchak, now Carter Cole. He's going to take some high upside swings here on these players. And if he can get them to become Kindersley Clippers, they're going to be dominant. Those are some good prospects for Kindersley.
Yeah.
And moving right along, if you're just joining us, we are in round 3 of the 2023 SJHL Draft. The picks are all in. Myself, Daniella, alongside Rory and Jamie, we are going through them right now. So number 5 in round 3, so 29th overall was originally Weyburn Red Wings pick, and then it went to L'Orange. And so the Ice Wolves welcome in Dylan Daniluk.
Yeah, he was a real duo with LaSalle in the River Kings, and as well as Corbin Ailman, who might be picked later as a guy who's signed by the Regina Pats. But anyways, Dylan Daniluk, real shooter. He had 12 goals in the regular season. He had 9 in the playoffs. So he could pick the right moment, and he got a bullet of a shot on him. He's going to go to the Warman Wildcats as well, AAA, and get some good opportunity up there. And again, a guy who can really score goals. And in L'Orange, as you guys know, there's no bad shots, and Dylan can really shoot it. So good spot.
That's fantastic. So 30th overall. So pick number 6 in round 3. That goes to the Nipawin Hawks in Corbin Schnurr.
Yeah, who a lot of people had as their #1 consensus goaltender that was available in 2007, spent the whole year in AAA with the Warman Wildcats. Nugsy mentioned him into his players to watch. He is a little bit smaller, listed at about 5'10" right now, 160 pounds, but don't let that take your eyes off of him. A 193 goals against average, a 939 save percentage, 6 shutouts this season. He was first in the league in all 3 categories, and that's why a lot of people had him at the top of his board. He's now the 3rd goalie that goes off in the SJHL draft here in 2023.
I love it. And the Nipawin Hawks actually had the next pick as well, number 31 overall. This pick acquired originally from the Estevan Bruins, but in Connor Rieger.
Yeah, another kid going to the Pat Canadians as well, and he's a pretty big boy. So again, that really fits what Darren McKechnie likes to do in the Pat Canadians. A gritty, hard-nosed guy. You know, Nipawin's picked a lot of speedy forwards. They picked a great goalie, as you said. Now they've got a bit of a bigger forward, a bit of a power forward. You know, he's going to learn to be a little bit grittier, play a little bit harder, but he's a great passer, and he's already got the size to fit in there. So he's very physically mature, and you know, a guy with a lot of promise. So good pickup by Tad Kozin to get Rieger at this point.
And rolling right along round 3, this is the 2007 born round at number 32 overall. So the 8th pick in round 3 goes to Weyburn and Carter Bergen.
Yeah, and the Weyburn Red Wings, you know, they're going to need to find offense, a way to replicate the loss of Riley Morgan in the next coming years. You know, a lot of graduating 20-year-olds out of Weyburn. And, you know, not a ton of picks in the 07 draft, but grabbing Carter Bergen, a guy who's done it consistently year after year, being tops on his team in production. 2 years ago in U15, first on his team in points with 50. Last year in U18, first on his team in points with 41. What do they do in playoffs? 4th in the league in playoff points. So you constantly see Carter Bergen among the tops of the scoring leaders, and Weyburn's trying to find a little bit of offense that maybe it lost from some graduating 20-year-olds.
And for the 9th pick in the 3rd round, Kindersley Clippers select Kai Packett out of Lafleche.
Yeah, and you know, the what you always need on your team if you want to win is a steady Eddie, a good first passer. You know, he's pretty mobile too, but first, the thing that I think about when I think about Kai Paquette is dependable and steady and a good first pass. And the offensive tools and the puck skills, they'll maybe grow as he continues to develop, but very smart guy, keeps it very simple. You know, he's very mature, so not that far from being ready to be a junior hockey player.
And the 10th pick of round 3, the Flin Flon Bombers originally had this one. Now the Notre Dame Hounds take it, and they will bring in their pick from Warman.
Yeah, and I think this was part of the package that allowed Flin Flon to move up those 6 spots in the 1st round as Notre Dame got this 3rd round pick, and they take it on Canyon Unger here, which another season of AAA hockey, one of those players, put up 8 points in 42 games. So is he 1 year away of another seasoning? Is he ready for the Notre Dame Hounds next season? But it's a player that, you know, looked like he can do a lot of damage. 5'8", 161. Has that experience, and then coming out of playing U15 prep as well with the PHA as the Notre Dame Hounds make them their selection that they got for that trade with the Flin Flon Bombers.
And just 2 more picks left in the 3rd round here. The Larange Ice Wolves with the 11th pick of the round. 35th overall, they select Ty Dovin from Bruno, Saskatchewan.
Yeah, he's a kid that works extremely hard. He's a buzzsaw. He's a great forechecker. I think another thing that Kevin Kaminski has shown in Larange is he doesn't mind if you're small as long as you work hard, as long as you get in people's faces. And Ty Dove, a full year of AAA with the Warman Wildcats. So, you know, impressed with him just as a mature guy.
And finally, with the 12th pick, the Battleford's North Stars select Jackson Fox.
Yeah, so the Humboldt Broncos actually just going back there, trade it to the Larange Ice Wolves, and Larange Ice Wolves used that pick to draft a guy who lives 10 minutes outside of Humboldt. So just a little interesting sprinkle right there. But the Battleford's North Stars, I've been so impressed. And now they're going to land Jackson Fox here in the end of round 3, 36 overall. We talked about the River Kings. Already 4 of them have been drafted. This guy led the team in points, both in the playoffs and in the regular season, and he slips to 36 for the Battleford's North Stars, who have already, in my opinion, had an exceptional draft. 141 pounds, he'll add to that in his 5'10 frame, but the offensive abilities there for Jackson Fox. It might be the steal of the 3rd round, we'll find out.
Fantastic. Congratulations to everyone chosen in the 3rd round of the draft. Everyone selected overall. That's already 36 picks. We are going to move into the 4th round shortly, but here's another recap of how round 3 went.
Newsy.
Yeah, interesting again to see the PHA kid there, Valence, going to be paired up with his buddy in Yorkton with Kieran Osberg from the PHA. Larange making a lot of picks. Dylan Daniella, Carter Bergen, Ty Dovin adding to their forward core quite considerably. Guys who could have gone second, even first round in this draft. So getting really good value there in the third round. Some guys who can really shoot. And in Dylan Daniella, I think he'll be a big time goal scorer. Seen like 30, 40 goals in the SJHL if he plays in the SJHL. He's that type of a scorer, and he's just going to keep getting better for Warman this year.
We will certainly have more recaps of the rounds as they go, but things are moving along. This is the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. And wherever you're joining us from, thank you for being here today. Again, we want to congratulate all the players already selected and certainly more names to come. So the round 4 starts exactly the way this entire draft did, with a pick from the Melville Millionaires.
Yeah, and it's going to be Jonah Pennell here, who
Sorry, my apologies. Kindersley Clippers. It was originally a Melville Millionaires pick. There you go.
So Kindersley back on the clock there, and Jonah Pennell out of Pilot Butte is going to be their pick to kick off round 4. Another rookie of AAA, 6 foot, 190 for the forward. So got some size at a young age already. Points, didn't come a lot of them in his first year of U18, but you expect with his size and his ability to maybe be a thorn in the side, get in front of the net, create some havoc, that in his second year in AAA, he'll be able to pile up some more points. But Kindersley grabbing a big, strong, young player up front already here.
And the second pick in round 4, that went to the Flin Flon Bombers, originally supposed to be for the Kindersley Clippers, but the Flin Flon Bombers select Eric Hahn out of Regina.
Yeah, here's a bit of a swing too, because the Kelowna Rockets have picked him, and they're pretty high on him. But he's going to be a Tisdale Trojan and get plenty of opportunity to be, a key guy for them. He's very, very skilled. He's very, very smart, and he'll get a lot of ice time and continue to develop as a result up in Tisdale. So, can Flin Flon kind of lure him towards the SJ? I think that would be great to see, because he's been around the Regina minor hockey system obviously his whole life. He's been a known entity there. And I expect those numbers to go up, and I expect him to get some call-ups, because Flin Flon's not shy at all about calling up U18 kids and playing them. So, it's a swing, but it's a good swing for Flin Flon.
Fantastic. If you're just joining us, we are in the early stages of the 4th round. Teams have their picks in, and moving right along, the 3rd selection in the 4th round, 39th overall, Yorkton Terriers select Ryder Woods out of Swift Current.
Yeah. And you know what? He's pretty diminutive, small, listed at 5'6", 130 pounds. So, he might be a little bit away. As a 2007 birth year. And you got to give credit to Yorkton and their scouting staff, because apparently, Ryder only played 4 games in the regular season. Maybe some injuries there with U18 AA. Came back and played 8 games in the playoffs, where he was basically a point per game. So they took a look at Ryder Woods, and they thought, you know what? This kid has talent. Maybe hasn't got to put himself on display as much as he would have liked this season, which allowed him to slip to the 4th round. And if you talk about steals, that could often be a player who ends up being a steal, Newsy.
Yeah, no question.
And moving along, round 4, 4th pick, Notre Dame Hounds select Jack Taylor. Congratulations to Jack Taylor.
Yeah, and here's another kid where it's a situation where he's going to get playing time, and he's landed at the Estevan Bears. It's a program that's going to keep getting better, but you see the numbers there as a defenseman at U18 AA with the Regina Vics. He was a dominant defenseman all the way around in AA U18. It was Jack Taylor. Physically, intelligence-wise, the league was good for him, and he got that opportunity. He'll get opportunity at the Estevan Bears as they lose some pieces you'd expect to. So, I think Notre Dame is getting a guy that's pretty close again to being a junior hockey ready player. Will he have that same flash and points at the AAA level and beyond? I don't know, but he's very well rounded right now.
Yeah. Do you want to piggyback on that? You're just you looked ready to jump right in there.
I just wanted to make sure he was one that I had started off. No relation to Trey Taylor, who you were a big fan of in the Notre Dame Blue Line, but you'll get another Taylor who maybe will be just as good as Trey there.
I do feel, though, that Jamie is a fan of everyone in this league. The love that you feel from Jamie Neugebauer is fantastic. All right, we're approaching the halfway point of round 4 here. So the 5th pick in round 4, 41st overall, the Melfort Mustangs select Blake Gerard out of Swift Current.
Yeah, and I think the 5th Melfort Mustangs pick in this draft in the opening 41 picks,
Yeah,
so
they've
about
had a lot.
12% of the picks so far have been Melfort Mustangs. And out of the Swift Current Broncos, U18 AA this past year. He did jump up, though, for a lot of games with the Tisdale Trojans, where he played 19 games with Tisdale as well. So a lot of experience there in AAA, but majority in AA. 5'8", 134 forward out of East End, Saskatchewan. And Blake Gerard's going to join that litany of players already for the Melfort Mustangs. I think they had the most in this year's draft with 11 combined between the 2007 and 2008 birth years. They've now made 5 so far.
That's exciting, though. What a great incoming class to be part of, right?
Yeah.
You get to really make those bonds there. All right, with the 42nd overall pick, number 6 in the 4th round, the Weyburn Red Wings select Rowan Burgess out of Regina.
Yeah, not too far down the road, obviously, from Weyburn. So Cody Makes could keep a close eye on him with the Regina Pat Seeds. But look at those numbers, 31 goals. You know, whenever you can hit the 30 goals, you know, you guy can shoot. Heavy shot. Continues to get better at skating. But again, he had a really good team around him, and that was helpful. And he'll continue to learn the defensive side of the game with the Patsies, but it's hard to teach a shot like that. He's got a big shot, and Cody Mapes is looking to get some more goals on the board there in Weyburn, and Burgess is a guy that they can slip in right away because Weyburn's not that far from Regina.
Well, I got excited to talk about the Melville Millionaires pick to start the round, which wasn't actually the case. This is when their pick comes in here in the 4th round at number 7, 43rd overall.
Yeah, and it's Taylor Tabashinak, another goaltender being picked, 4th goaltender now of the draft in the opening 43 picks. It's going to the Melville Millionaires. You look at that win-loss record, that's what you want to see from a goaltender. He is 6 foot tall already, 181 pounds, and 3rd in the league in goals against average with a 195. He is a draft pick in the WHL, 127th overall to Red Deer, and Melville will make him the 43rd overall pick here to the SJHL.
Love to see it. All right, moving right along, the number 8 pick in the 4th round, 44th overall, Larange Ice Wolves selecting Ryder McKinnon out of Saskatoon.
Well, I gotta ask, have I used my quota of the word mean yet? I don't know. I guess
No,
I have.
just bring it on.
He might be the meanest kid in the draft. I mean, he's up there for sure. Saskatoon River Kings again. He's no nonsense. He fits a lot of what Kevin Kaminski likes in a D-man. You know, obviously they have the Liam McInneses of the world in terms of talent up there for sure on the back end, and they've had some scorers. But this guy is not going to be any fun to face at the Mel Hegland Uniplex down low below the goal line in Larange. He's big and mean and right shot, and does he have a lot of offense? I don't know, but he can hit you and he'll be mean. So there you go. I've used a lot of means right there, but that's him.
Nugesy's notes on Ryder McKinnon was just a mean emoji face. The red emoji face. That was his notes for Ryder McKinnon.
Yeah.
What I love about it, though, is that even though you're calling people mean, it's with love, right? It's the biggest compliment you can get. It's the biggest compliment you can get from Nugesy. All right, so 45th overall. This is the 9th pick in the 4th round. Melfort Mustangs once again taking Lincoln Rogers.
And, you know, not too far away as well. From Prince Albert is Lincoln Rogers, another forward, another pick for Melfort. It's now their 6th pick, and they just keep adding to that pool of players with 26 points there in 32 games with the PA Vulcans, 44 penalty minutes as well. Did jump up for 1 game, which is where you probably do expect him to play with the PA Mintos next year in AAA. But Lincoln Rogers now, another part of that Melfort Mustangs draft.
All right, we are moving right along here in the 4th round. Okay, 10th in the round, 46th overall. This was originally supposed to be the Flin Flon Bombers pick. Then Nipawin Hawks got it. They just traded that to the Melfort Mustangs, guys. We're going to get another Mustangs pick, and they select Josh Henry out of Prince Albert.
Well, the first thing about this is it's very practical, we'll say. Josh, very talented, a huge kid, very calm in his net, had a great regular season, as you can see, not a great playoffs. But, you know, a young kid, you kind of, the team in front of you makes an impact too. But he's a big boy, and PA Mintos not that far away from Melfort, as you were just saying, Rory. The fact that they were that close to him just geographically, so you know, makes a lot of sense, and a good project at 6'4". That's what you want in goalie these days.
All right, and to round out the 4th round, none other than the Battleford's North Stars with the 48th overall pick, and they select Carter Geeson.
Yeah, we missed one with Luke Silvernagel in there going to the Notre Dame Hounds.
Sorry.
No,
Yes,
that's okay.
right. No, that's no.
And you skipped Nugesy's team as well, so he's going to be mean, as he's been saying a lot of these players are towards you. But quickly on Silvernagel, another one to the Rink Hockey Academy, Kelowna, I believe there. From Stockholm, Saskatchewan, 20 games played and 25 points, but was out west playing with another CSSHL school, Nugsy.
Yeah, and obviously Brett and Dion and everybody there at Notre Dame, lots of access to CSSHL teams, with Notre Dame having lots of them. So they were able to watch him close. They had him circled for a long time, and they get a guy that they like. So there you go.
All right, we're going to actually hold on to that number 48 I just mentioned, because we've got Braden Klamosko on the line with us right now, joining us from wherever he is at the moment, I believe home, hopefully enjoying a great draft day. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm in Saskatoon actually.
Excellent. Okay, in sunny Saskatoon, as I can see. First of all, just your initial thoughts on this day and, of course, your team's selections.
Yeah, I think we did okay. Obviously everyone's pretty happy about their draft and everything. So Wyatt does a good job. He watches a lot of that for me. So yeah, I think we're pretty happy with it.
Can you talk a bit about the first two picks in the first round, grabbing the Twins and the Kerwins out of Gull Lake there? I kind of mentioned before that the last time you had a pair of brothers, the Loon Stewartsons, on the lineup, they did pretty good. And now you go in the first round and scoop up the Kerwins. Yeah. What was in that thought process?
Yeah, that, as well as we had some success in Gull Lake before with Cody Spaggard. So, obviously we were hoping to get them both. That was a big part of it. So obviously got drafted the one and we're able to draft the other. So pretty fortunate overall. And yeah, looking forward. They both were at our camp last weekend. So pretty excited about it.
Yeah, Braden, I got to ask you, obviously Kyle McIntyre, the commissioner coming in, has talked a lot about wanting Sask kids, wanting local kids. You had 3 Battlefords guys on your team have so much success this past year with Southgate and Florence and Grill, and so much Sask element as well, I guess. How proud are you, I guess, as a Sask guy as well, to win and see all these local Battlefords kids develop and Sask kids be the core of your team?
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky to have the Saskatchewan talent we have, and and to have the local talent we have. I think everyone would be pretty ecstatic if they're able to insert 3 locals in their lineup every night. So pretty fortunate, obviously, and we started off even with 5 at the start of the year. So pretty fortunate to be able to have all the the local talent as well as the SAS talent for sure.
And Braden, when you have a chance to be with your team so late into the season, I mean, you're on the cusp of summer right now. Do you get to have a break? Do you get to have a moment's rest just to take stock of everything you've accomplished this year? And what a big year for you, by the way. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got all summer. I'm pretty lucky. My fiance, she's a teacher, so we've already got plans. We've got plans to go across, a few different trips and everything. So it's been, it's been busy, but it's been a good busy. So it's better off that way than twiddling your thumbs in April or something like that. So been very fortunate, and it's been a great ride and a wild ride for our whole family. And, it's been really exciting to see all the people follow and cheer us on.
I just have a quick question about the process of the draft. Of course, you mentioned the Kerwins. They were at your camp. You really liked them. They're brothers. They're twins. You wanted them in the first round. But how do you balance kind of, the best player available, over sort of positional need and maybe looking to the future? Just where is that kind of discussions with yourself and your scouting staff or maybe, it falls to the 4th round and you get a guy that you just couldn't pass up on, even though if you had a couple forwards already?
For sure. You know what, and Rory, it's a good point. I think you take more risks later on, but your first couple picks, you want guys that are, wanting to be North Stars potentially, and guys coming to our camp obviously helps. So you take a little bit less chance in the first couple rounds. They both were there last weekend, so it makes it a little bit easier to maybe, to be able to get them. So yeah, we try and stay relatively safe, but not too safe where we still want to impact guys in that first round.
Yeah, just the last one for me then. Braden. Just talk about Wiley Riendo, how much work he does, how much you kind of respect him and owe him for sort of building some of these teams that you guys have had the last number of years.
Yeah, he puts in a lot of work behind the scenes. He's at a lot of games. I think last weekend we were doing some parent meetings and stuff, and I asked him how many games he watched last year, and it was 400. So he watches a lot more games than I ever do. And, I give him a lot of respect, and, I really thank him for what he's done. There's a reason why we've been successful, and it starts with him.
Well, thank you so much, Braden Klamosko, for joining us, head coach of the Battlefords North Stars, and congratulations on all your picks today.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it. We love having coaches on just to chat. Of course, we heard from a number of coaches earlier in the first 2 rounds as they made their picks. We are fully underway here. There's a number of picks we still need to get to, but if you're just joining us, just want to welcome you in. This is the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. I'm Daniella Ponticelli alongside a great panel of SJHL insiders Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. You guys ready for round 5? Actually, hold on. Can we get a snapshot of round 4 again? We just want to remind everyone, make sure everyone's appreciated. And we also need to mention the 12th pick there by the Battlefords North Stars, Carter Geeson.
Yeah, another one out of Prairie Storm, U18 AA here. It'll round it up for the Battlefords North Stars. I believe now their 5th pick in this SJHL draft already for the defending champions. But left shot forward out of White City, Saskatchewan, 36 points in 34 games, so over a point per game in AA. He jumped up a bit with the Yorkton Maulers in AAA and picked up an assist in his 7 games of service.
And of course, want to congratulate Luke Silvernagel, who, you know, we did not skip you. We did not skip you. We were just getting antsy. We knew Braden Klamosko was on the line with us, but we want to say congratulations again to Luke Silvernagel.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quickly about Gayson, just known to be a very hardworking kid, like doesn't take a shift off. So that's what you want. It's great. It's a great platform to start with.
All right, well, that is the first 4 rounds. We have plenty more just ahead, including a full summary of round 5. This is the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Welcome back to the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. We are coming to you live from IKS Media Studios in Regina. I'm Daniella Ponticelli alongside these two great SJHL insiders, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. We've gone through 4 full rounds. The picks are in for the deeper rounds too, so we're going to go through it all again. We want to thank all the coaches who joined us earlier for rounds 1 and 2. Of course, want to thank Commissioner Kyle McIntyre, who is here with us in the building. He's been absolutely fantastic. Also want to thank our supporting sponsors, Chevy, CANTERRA Seeds, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. All right, so let's get right to it. 2007 born round 5, and it was originally Melville Millionaires pick. Then the Notre Dame Hounds had it. They flipped it to Flin Flon, Rory, and selecting Brennan Brown.
Yeah, and Flin Flon's taking some really big swings. Brennan Brown here in the 5th pick is another one, kind of as Braden Klamosko attested to. You know, you pick some players that you want and think might come soon to your team, and then you can take some swings if you want in the later rounds. Brennan Brown, a 50th overall pick in the WHL, is a swing for the Flin Flon Bombers. So was Leo Seitz in the 1st round. So Mike Reagan, you know, if he can get these guys to come up to the Whitney Forum, it's big hits for the Flin Flon Bombers. As Brennan Brown, you know, he's a machine, 6'3", 175.
Ooh,
at a young age like that, to be that big, he is an absolute bulldozer, and 45 points in 29 games last year in U15 before joining the Moose Jaw Warriors AAA program this year. Yeah, Flin Flon, that's a big power forward, man of a kid already if they can land him.
One thing I love about draft days, I'm so ready for the new season. I'm so ready for it. All right, round 5, the 2nd pick goes to the Kindersley Clippers.
Yeah, Cooper Flath. He's from Dinsmore, which again, not that far away from Kindersley. So good to draft somewhat local if you can, and had a really good year in Swift AA U18. And, you know, he's a guy that's also been on Sask First radar, so a lot of different camps. So people able to see him, and had a pretty good offensive year in Swift. And I believe he's going to the Estevan Bears AAA too. So he'll get some AAA ice time and an opportunity there at the Estevan Bears with a lot of new guys there in Estevan. So, you know, interesting pick. He can skate, and again, not far from Kindersley, so good for the new coach, Clayton Jardine, to ingratiate himself with the community with some local kids.
And Rory, it's Melville who has the 3rd pick of the 5th round.
Yeah, Caden Shumay is going to be their pick for the Melville Millionaires out of Martinsville, Saskatchewan. A right shot D-man, 5'10", 170. 5 points in 38 games played there, as you can see, with the Yorkton Maulers already. So a year of AAA experience, and a mobile right shot defenseman going to the Melville Millionaires. And I'd say their head coach, but we don't know their head coach yet. But whoever does get that job is getting a nice young defenseman in Caden Shumay.
So much talent heading to Melville. Now, with the 4th pick in the 5th round, this was Melville's pick as well, but they've traded that to L'Orange, who will take Kyle Pratt from Moose Jaw.
Yeah, Kale, a really good passer is the first thing I think about. Another skilled kid from the PHA. They're doing such a great job, as I said, out there in Caronport, and lots of PHA kids will be playing AAA. You know, Kale is no different, but he's really a pass-first guy. He's got some great vision on him as well, and you know, a lot of guys, you know, love to play with a guy who can find you, and Kale's a really good complimentary guy like that. So, you know, liked him for a long time, done a great job there, and good pick right there.
And with the 5th pick of the 5th round, it's the Weyburn Red Wings. Rory.
Yeah, and it's actually, well, the same hometown as Kale Pratt, and it's the same team as Kale Pratt with the PHA. So both from Moose Jaw, and Noah Toole is now going to head over to the Weyburn Red Wings, another forward to join a couple others that they drafted this year. But he's been with Prairie Hockey now for a couple of years, was last year in U15, put up 31 points, 102 penalty minutes, so he's no stranger to the sin bin. He did actually shave that down, as he was 2nd in the league in penalty minutes U15, only had 10 penalty minutes this year, so still kept the points, still kept the offensive ability, and didn't enter the sin bin as much in U17.
Yeah, smartened up that play. Love to see it. All right, with the 6th pick in round 5, it's the Nipawin Hawks, Jamie.
Yeah, so I believe maybe I stopped keeping track, but the last guy on my to watch before the draft list there Ryland Mold, again, a guy who's big and strong, can grow into his frame for sure, needs to do that, but he's rangy, needs to get a little bit faster, but he's got lots and lots of offensive instincts to him, plays a smart game, makes right reads, he can quarterback a power play. His teammates love him as a person as well. I spoke to one of his teammates on the PHA U16s, and he spoke glowingly about Ryland as well. And again, a guy that I think that Tad Kozin can call on pretty soon, because he's pretty mature. He needs to get a little bit faster, get into that power skating this summer. But he's a guy that's not too far from junior hockey, if you ask me.
So fantastic. Round 5, the 7th pick goes to the Estevan Bruins.
Yeah, 5th goaltender now going off the board, and it's Wyatt Bouvier heading towards the Estevan Bruins. Played in his minor league division rival with the Yorkton Maulers, but you know what? You got to kind of look at these stats and take them with a grain of salt, because Wyatt Bouvier is a good goaltender, just shy of 6 feet tall, .918 save percentage. Look at the playoffs last year with the Saskatoon Bandits, where they won the championship in U15 AA, an 8-1 record in the playoffs, a .936 save percentage. So he made the jump up to AAA, and his numbers took a little bit of a hit, but I think that's just a goaltender getting adjusted to that higher level, and expect Wyatt in his second year to really blossom. But is another goaltender going to the Estevan Bruins. They've had great goaltending in the last few seasons. Can't actually remember the last time they haven't had good goaltending. And Wyatt Bouvier maybe looks to be the future.
I was just about to say, love the goaltending out of the Estevan Bruins. All right, with the 8th pick in the 5th round, the La Ronge Ice Wolves select Thomas Harding.
Yeah, another defenseman with not great offensive numbers, but he's got a great frame to him. He's 6'1" already, and needs to grow into it a lot, similar to Ryland Mold, maybe without the same offensive touch. But again, a physical guy, good positioning. He played for the Saskatoon Sabercats AA U18, so he got plenty of ice time, plenty of opportunity to grow. And Kevin Kaminski there in La Ronge and his staff have a lot of eyeballs on Saskatoon, and so they'll know the player well. And nothing wrong with taking a pick like that who's got a good frame that fits your club at this point in the draft.
All right, and with the 9th selection in the 5th round, that is 57th overall, originally for the Melfort Mustangs, but it's the Yorkton Terriers who select this one.
Go ahead, Jamie. You have Luke McKenzie.
Luke McKechnie, another goalie there. Yorkton's going to have to add some light blue to their jersey, because they keep taking these PHA kids. You know what? He faced a good amount of rubber in U17 prep. Those U17 or those prep leagues are really tough. You got to go on the road. You got to play a lot of hockey. Him and Cam Bazal were actually a really good pairing for the PHA U17 prep team. And again, not the biggest goalie in the world, but very, very athletic. He's a real gamer. I love when a goalie has a little bit of a competitive edge. It doesn't give up on a puck, hates being scored on, and that's Luke McKechnie to a T. And gonna be a guy who's playing AAA here in Sask this year. So a good goalie pick there for Yorkton.
And it's the Flin Flon Bombers with the next pick in round 5. Or did I skip one?
No, you're good.
No, we're good. I had a moment there. The next pick, which is 10th in the 5th round, 58th overall, Rory.
Well, we're going goalie to goalie, and it's now the 3rd netminder picked here in round 5, and it's Logan Edmonstone for the Flin Flon Bombers. And another player, Saskatoon contacts this year, 4 shutouts in 20 games played. So almost 20% of his games ended in donuts for Logan Edmonstone. 5'10", 160, so good size. Probably still has a little bit to grow as well. 15 wins, 6 losses, and a .914 save percentage. Is a draft pick to the Kamloops Blazers. So Mike Reagan, not afraid to take these WHL drafted players. It was late, 173rd overall, but Logan Edmonstone was one of those top goaltenders on a lot of people's boards as well.
He was so good for Saskatchewan at the Canada Winter Games. Like, they won the silver medal, and they would not have without Logan Edmonstone.
Perfect.
So whether he goes to the SJ, I hope he does, but boy, was he good for our province.
Wonderful talent. And that actually does it for round 5. The final 2 picks were passed on, so we'll give you a quick summary on screen. Again, another fantastic round, and congratulations to absolutely everyone selected in the day. The end of round 5 brings us to 60 selections overall, guys.
Yeah, it's been a great couple rounds. I'm also impressed with the speed of the drafted rounds following round 2, but it just shows the work that goes away from the ice from the scouting staffs and the coaching staffs across all 12 teams as they were ready. They had the list of players they knew, and I mean, we could just see the sheet filling and filling before we could even really get to it. So really hands-on work by everyone behind the scenes, not only here, but across the SJHL, as they knew who they were going to pick, and it's gone by pretty fast and smooth.
Yeah, I think it's cool to see how many PHA kids keep getting taken to, and that round I think was half PA Prairie Hockey Academy kids pretty much, and just shows the work that they're doing over there. Obviously, on the one of two CSSHL teams in our province, so that's where they're going to get kids from. Obviously, Notre Dame being the other one, but again, developing young men. I love Noah Toole when he was really young. He was really relied on, maybe to do too much heavy lifting when he was in the U15 preps, but continues to grow and develop, and I think he fits the SJ perfectly. So I love that pick for Weyburn. Again, he fits what Cody Mapes wants. He's a passionate player, plays with energy and compete and works hard. So big Noah Toole fan.
Well, and went to U17 as well when he still could have played U16.
Yeah.
So played up a year this past season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably tried for the U18 team, but the PHA U18 team was really hard to get into and stacked. So that's kind of what it is. But Noah Toole has been a guy that PHA has really been high on for a very long time, and good for Weyburn to get him. I've liked him for a long time.
Well, thank you so much for all your insights. Again, that's the first 5 rounds. We still have more to come. I just want to remind you, welcome you in. If you've just joined us, this is the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL, and we are moving right on to round 6. 2007 born, once again, Melville Millionaires with the first pick in round 6, 61st overall, and they select Henry Thunderblanket.
Yeah, Henry Thunderblanket. Well, PHA keeps standing up. U16 Academy there for Henry Thunderblanket. And you talk about a player who really doesn't mess around on any side of the game. 31 points in 32 games to go with 114 penalty minutes. That was first place in the league, and he also led his team in points. So Henry Thunderblanket does it all. And you talk about, the Melville Millionaires grabbing a player who's not going to shy down from the physical side. He's not going to get intimidated, and he's going to help out score, maybe like a Carter McKay, a couple other players that they got on there. Henry Thunderblanket's one of them.
Yep.
Fantastic. And with the second pick in round 6, Jamie, it's the Kindersley Clippers.
Yeah, the Kindersley Clippers got Finn Haraspichak out of Saskatoon, and boy, do they keep producing players, right? Another River King, another good defenseman. He had a lot of good players to play with, and they just keep developing them. Offensive guy, it can put the puck in the net, and will learn to fend down low in his own end, as he continues to grow. But he's a skilled two-way guy. He's got a lot of puck skills. Can he learn to grow in his own end and be hard to play against? We'll have to see. But a guy that is definitely worth a swing because of offensive tools at this point in the draft.
And with the third pick in round 6, the Yorkton Terriers select Grady Keith out of Yorkton.
29 points in 36 games for Grady Keith. He is listed as being from Yorkton. So Nugsy, maybe if you have more insight on me as why he didn't fill into the locally kind of auto-protected bubble. Maybe he does live just outside of Yorkton, and they did need to draft him in order to keep him, as a Yorkton Terrier prospect. There's been players like that around the league. Michael Newmeyer from Kindersley lived on a farm just outside of Kindersley, and he was eligible for the draft. Noah Barloggy, just outside of Humboldt, was eligible for the draft. So, Grady Keith could fall into that demographic, which is, why Yorkton had to use the pick on him. But 29 points in 36 games, that's a lot of offense for a first-year AAA player out of the Ballers.
And then with the fourth pick in round 6, 64th overall, the Notre Dame Hounds.
Yeah, so, I have some good friends from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and so I got a soft spot for the town. Caleb Pockrant, got to see him play a little bit with the Northwest Stars AA. He was a really relied on player. As you can see, his numbers, 20 goals. He'll fill out his frame, and, I wasn't sure, kind of like Thunderblanket, kind of like Keith, whether they were auto protects for their team, but he's from Meadow Lake, so that's far enough away from Battlefords. And, again, it's a situation where it's a guy that actually Dion Antison, I know the Notre Dame assistant coach was extremely high on him, paid close attention to him a lot. So, talented guy, can shoot, goes to the dirty areas, isn't a flashy guy, but he scores because he goes to the right areas. And so like that pick for Notre Dame.
That's fantastic. So in this 6th round of the 2007 born players, we do have a number of passes, including the 5th selection that would have gone to the Weyburn Red Wings. So instead, it'll be number 6 Nipawin Hawks with that selection.
Yeah, it's going to be Nash Kurniski, pardon me. Nash is the Battleford's Stars player with 30 games of experience already in AAA. We saw a lot of AAA players go early, so for Nash to fall to the Nipawin Hawks, I think this is a big grab for Nipawin. You can see his size already. I got him listed at 6'1", 160, so maybe he's already grown an inch since the graphic was made, but he's a strong kid already at his age, in that small building in the cage. And Nipawin, they're going to like those players that can take away spaces of the ice, make you really difficult to play against, and Nash Kurniski might be right up there for Nipawin. Well,
Gentlemen, that concludes round 6 because the rest of the picks were passes. So we'll take another look now at everyone we've already mentioned and named. And again, sending out a big congratulations to them and their families. It's such a big day. So we'll take another look here at round 6 on the board.
Yeah, so the guy that really jumps out to me in this group is Henry Thunderblanket, just in terms of a guy who's physically mature. He's an all-around player. Speaking to some PHA people, they were saying he's probably a guy who could jump into junior hockey today and play a game and not look, too out of place. All those other guys are good players. Obviously, they develop and they have potential to go a certain direction. Thunderblanket could be a bottom 6 physical type guy right now. Very unselfish, very popular among his teammates. He's from the Battlefords kind of area up in the Northwest as well, and so he's played with those AA Northeast Stars over his career. But a guy that they love down in PHA, and so I'm happy to see him get picked in this draft.
Yeah, and don't be surprised in the later rounds to see team passes. It's just,
of course,
they do have their lists, and sometimes they can fill up. So they try to look at the Melfort Mustangs, the Humboldt Broncos, right? They had 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, and they didn't pick the rest of the draft. They didn't have a 3rd, they didn't have a 4th. They passed on their 5th and 6th. So they targeted the guys they want, they got them, and then they'll have maybe some list room, or the lists are already full. But that's why you're seeing those passes at the end. And Nugsy hit the nail on the head there with Henry Thunderblanket. I think you're going to see him be a menace and a really big player for Melville soon.
And again, congratulations to all the teams and the players. And we are not done yet because after the break, we get to round 1 of the 08s. So we have plenty more action here on the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Welcome back to the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. It's been so much fun being here alongside this great panel of SJHL insiders, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer. I am Daniella Ponticelli, and we are all live from IKS Media Studios in Regina. Again, want to thank all of our fantastic supporting sponsors who, without, we wouldn't be here right now. So Chevy, CANTERRA SEEDS, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. All right, so we're all done the first 6 rounds. Those are all the 07 borns, and we're going to take another look at that in a moment. But for Jamie's sake, he did pretty good on those players to watch, okay? So let's pull him up here, Jamie. And you happy with your picks?
Yeah, I mean, I think they all went, right, pretty high. Carrig, Klapik, Marcus, Mold, Fleury, Schnurr, they all went around that. Well, I think Mold maybe was the last one in the 5th round. So there you go, 6 for 6.
6 for 6.
Done my job.
All right, and we'll actually take a look now at where all those players went in the draft, starting with the first round, which wasn't that long ago, guys. Everything moving really quickly this afternoon.
Yeah, everything moved really, really fast. I mean, congratulations to Preston Bearwald to being selected the first overall pick here in the 2023 SJHL Draft. And then after that, it just seemed like fireworks.
It really was.
We wanted to give the kids a little bit more time, a little bit more spotlight, but the coaches were ready, and you know what? They'll get the spotlight they deserve when they become the SJHL players that these coaches have projected them to be. And yeah, there's a lot of good picks in that first round for sure.
Yeah, just cool story with the Kerwin family. I'm sure they're just thrilled right now, and why not go to the champs? Like, why not? Like, the Battlefords North Stars have been a great team for the last, as long as I can remember, so great spot to go.
Absolutely. All right, so now we are getting set for the 08s. Okay, so it's round 1 of the 2008 borns, and that will, of course, go to the Melville Millionaires.
Bigsy.
Yeah, so Cohen Volk goes at the very top, and this is a guy that, again, a lot of people had their eye on, a very talented kid. And you know, when you go to you know, the 08s, then there's usually some sort of relationship connection there, and they decided to go to a Bandits program that's got just a long line of victories and good players the last little while, and the defense points from the back end speak for themselves there for Cohen. So you know, good spot. The Melville Millionaires getting some talent on the back end, and gonna see where he goes and plays in AAA right away this next year. So you know, good start for Melville.
With the second pick in round 1 of the 2008 born players, Kindersley Clippers originally had this one, then the Humboldt Broncos took it, and they select Luke Senek out of Saskatoon.
Yeah, and so this is, you know, the natural first round of the 2008 borns, which, you know, the teams did last year with the 2007 borns. They did get a little bit of seasoning to see the 2007s who we heard selected today, but this now is, you know, the top 08s that you think are going to be part of the SJHL. And here in round 1 and rounds 2, you got Cohen Volk going first, and now Luke Senek by the Humboldt Broncos is another one. Stoon Bandits this year, 58 points in 29 games. He led his team in points. He led his team in goals. He was 5th in the league in goals with 37 of them in 29, and already a draft pick in the WHL. So the Humboldt Broncos are going to try to, you know, use that blueprint that they did to maybe, you know, if he's an NCAA division-focused kid. And another thing I'll say about Luke Senek, interesting little fact, and I'm happy to see, as he's going to the team that I do work with, we have the same birthday.
Hey!
Both July 24th, so it's coming up. Myself and Luke Senek, the top pick for the Broncos in the 08 draft.
Hey, that's something special right there. Third overall for the 08s, the Yorkton Terriers select Boston Schmidt from Pilot Butte.
Yeah, so there you go. The Prairie Storm, they continue to develop as well. 28 points in 26 games, needs to grow, but he's a guy that is going to play some AAA next year with the Maulers, and close to home there close to the Terriers, pardon me, so they'll get to watch him and call him up when they need him. And he's a talented kid. He's got good vision. He can really shoot a puck too. So you go with sort of some opportunity to call a kid up and to see him a lot, and some raw talent there. So good for the Yorkton Terriers.
The Notre Dame Hounds, with their 4th pick in the first round of the 08s, select Ethan Dundas from Regina.
Yeah, and I'm going to take a little bit and then pass it to Nugsy, as it's a team that he works for. But 6th in the league in points for Ethan Dundas. Lit it up with 76 points in 27 games. Well, wasn't crazy high in the dub, 133rd overall. But the reason I want to pass it to you is a few years ago we called a camp where there was about 15 games in 2 days, it seemed like. Yeah. Was Ethan Dundas in that camp?
It's possible.
I feel that he was, and I feel that he stood out even 2 years ago when he would have been about 13 years old. So that's what the Notre Dame Hounds go for, and your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it makes some sense. Obviously, Notre Dame also picking him for some reason, for one reason being that he is actually going to attend Notre Dame now. Pardon me, I'm trying to get some words out now. He's going to, try out, I'm sure, for the AAA Hounds team, and he's obviously very talented, 7th round pick of the Calgary Hitmen as well. So the Hounds, brass very high on him, want to keep him close and keep an eye on him and maybe use him next year even. Why not?
Round 1 with the 5th pick, Flin Flon Bombers make their pick out of Regina.
Yeah, I'll go again here. Keaton L'Esperance is a guy that a lot of people had their eye on. Not only is he a talented kid, but he's also plays a really gritty game. 60 points, you think, oh, he's a prima donna shooter, but no, he can mix it up. He loves to get into the blue areas of the net, and again, the Vics just constantly produce good players for Regina too, and Martin Academy too, getting a shout out there as you see on the screen, a couple picks in a row. So Keaton L'Esperance was a guy that a lot of teams had on their board, and so Flin Flon's getting one that they can be happy about.
And if you're just joining us, we are working through the first round of the 2008 born players here in this draft, and it's stacked with talent. With the 6th pick, Nipawin Hawks select Barrett Berger out of Saskatoon.
Yeah, another left shot defenseman here out of Saskatoon. Some good height for an 08 birthday at 6 foot 163 already, and tied for 2nd on the team in D-man points with 22 points in 22 games. Probably 35 points in 22 games. 22 of those being assists, so he's able to set it up from the top of the zone. Tri-City drafted him 123rd overall, and now Nipawin is going to take him 6th overall in the 2008 draft here in the SJHL.
Moving right along again, we're in the first round here. 7th pick, Estevan Bruins take Gunnar Moore.
Yeah, so this again, just like Dundas with Notre Dame, makes a ton of sense. He was an Estevan Bruins U15 kid. He led the Estevan Bruins U15s in scoring by a lot. He's going to play Estevan Bears next year. Obviously, the Estevan Bruins play in the same rink as the Estevan Bears, can keep a close eye on a talented kid that dominated for his team, was the man to watch for the Estevan Bears U15 AA's last year. So a guy with a lot of confidence, a lot of polish, a lot of ice time, and Jason Tatarnic and staff's got to be happy with that pick.
Again, congratulations to everyone who's been selected, and those selections still to come. Number 8 in round 1 for the 2008 born players, LaRange Ice Wolves selecting Cameron Jacobson out of Waka.
Won the championship with the Humboldt Broncos here in the U15 AA, was their top scoring defenseman. He was able to set up Beckett Hamilton and Dane Boyker, 2 first-round picks in the WHL. Cameron Jacobson fell to 80th overall to Portland, but he's a really good hockey IQ vision blue liner who can find that first pass out of the zone, and when you get to the offensive zone, he'll know where to find the targets for the LaRange Ice Wolves. And it's another pickup. You got to go through Waka to get to LaRange from Humboldt, and now Jacobson, who played for Humboldt from Waka, is going to go to LaRange.
I love it. I'm getting such a great geography lesson from these guys. I know you've been all over the province as it is. The Melfort Mustangs have the 9th pick in the first round here with the 08s, and they select Ethan Hamilton from Lanigan.
Yeah, I guess I should probably just pass this off to Rory, because obviously Lanigan not far from Humboldt on that great team, going to the Saskatoon Blazers. What can you tell us about Ethan Hamilton, Rory?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Hamilton, and it's, again, kind of like Jacobson. It's a guy who maybe was playing a little bit behind the shadow of a couple players that were on that team, but really exceptional talent in Ethan Hamilton and Cameron Jacobson, Hamilton being the forward, of course. But when you play behind kind of guys who put up 100-plus points, you don't often get the accolades that they deserve, and I think they're going to make exceptional players in both La Ronge and Melfort in a couple of years.
We're getting towards the end of the first round here for the 08s. The Flin Flon Bombers, they have the 10th pick, and they select Jonah Sivertson out of Regina.
Yeah, this is it's another swing for Flin Flon.
Yeah.
They seem to be taking them all over the place with really high drafted WHL players. And you know what, Sivertson, as Nugsy mentioned, does he need to work on his skating a little bit? Yes, he does, but 113 points in 29 games. He led the league in points in U15 with the Regina Monarchs. He had more than Boyker. He had more than Beckett Hamilton, who both were first-round picks. And he fell to 71st overall for the PA Raiders in the WHL. I know they're very high on him.
Yeah.
I don't know what Sivertson's plan is, but if he ends up being a Flin Flon Bomber, it's just another huge swing for Mike Reagan.
Yeah.
And just some context for what Rory just said there. Dane Biker has already been on campus tours at different U.S. colleges and blah, blah, blah. He's being courted by everybody, and this guy had more points than Dane Boyker.
Yes, yeah.
So there's some context, this kid is
how
legit.
good he is offensively.
Legit.
Yes, yeah.
Incredible. Again, the talent right here in Saskatchewan. Now with the 11th pick in the first round of the 08s, the Humboldt Broncos make their selection.
Yeah, and it's Sean Bazaran out of Saskatoon. And when you talk about speed, it's got to be Sean Bazaran among the top of your lists. He's, not the biggest player, not the smallest player either, about 5'9", 5'10", but he can absolutely fly. And 61 points in 30 games. He was first on his team in playoff points, second on his team in the regular season. An interesting note with Sean, though, is that he was drafted by the Winnipeg Ice here. Except Winnipeg didn't have a lot of picks. So although he was 128th overall, he was Winnipeg's third pick. So they just didn't have a lot in that draft, and they went with Sean Bazaran. But the Humboldt Broncos, they see that speed, they see that offensive ability, and select him with their second first-round pick in the 08 draft.
Incredible. All right, so we are actually rounding out the first round of the 08s here with pick number 12, the Battleford's North Stars, selecting Sam Lukinchuk out of Saskatoon.
Yeah, as you can see, he's going to play for the Contacts. He's an 8th-round pick, as well as the Calgary Hitmen. And one thing that stands out to me about Lukanchuk is everybody knows him as a defensive stalwart, defense first, takes care of his own end. Such a mature young man to believe in what he does already and believe that that's, we're going to take him where he's going to take him. And, Battleford's had such a great, well-rounded decor that worked so well together. Wyatt Rindo's really hit on drafting young D-men the last little while, and Lukanchuk, again, if he doesn't make the dub, he's certainly going to be a top D-man in the SJHL not too long from now.
All right, so that is the first round of 2008 born players. Again, we want to congratulate everyone who's been selected today, and that includes in the 07s. It's just been a phenomenal day. We are not done yet, but we should be able to get a quick look at the recap of that round. Again, a really full round stacked with talent that both Rory and Nugsy fully approve of. I love it. So many guys you're excited about.
Yeah, and I mean, you're getting that winning pedigree again. As we look at this year in the U15, it was the Humboldt Broncos AA program, Cameron Jacobson and Ethan Hamilton going from there. You got high offense with Keaton Lesperance, of course, Siverston led the league, Sean Bazaran. This is now, the actual first round of 08s, and there's some swings. There's a lot of promise that these players can become, top line A-list SJHL players in the near future. And we already saw 6 07s play in the league last year after they were just drafted. So you can expect a handful, 2 handfuls of these players to play this year in at least a few games.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about, kids are becoming cookie cutter in systems and it's becoming boring, blah, blah, blah. None of that's true with a lot of these kids. A lot of these kids have great personalities. Keaton L'Esperance is the one that sticks out to me in terms of having a great personality, having a lot of pluck to his game, a lot of pluck to his personality. And so, you talked about Flin Flon taking a swing with Sivertson, but also getting a Keaton L'Esperance, who is a kid that's very, 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 very good and could be a very, very good Flin Flon bomber. Not the same, obviously, type of situation as Sivertson, but he fits Flin Flon. He's not going to be a very popular guy on the other team, is what we'll say. And another Regina Vic that we can like in the SJ real soon.
Fantastic work by everyone. And again, we want to thank everyone joining us. We are not done yet. One more round to go. But before we get there, I want to remind you that this is the 2023 SJHL Draft brought to you by UPL. I want to thank our fantastic supporting sponsors, Chevy, CANTERRA Seeds, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. There's also a tremendous group of people I have yet to shout out. I can't believe we've made it all the way without mentioning the fantastic crew at IKS Media, presenting and, of course, making this broadcast possible wherever you're joining us from. So big thank you. There we are in the IKS Media Studios in Regina. I'm Daniella Ponticelli, your insiders, Rory McGouran and Jamie Neugebauer, Nugsy, as we know and love him. Are you guys ready for the final round?
One more round to go. Let's do it.
One more round. Let's make it the best. Of course, it's been absolutely a blast. And again, thank you and congratulations to everyone who's taken part so far. All right, round 2 of the 08s begins, well, I was about to say Melville, but no, they made that swap there with the Humboldt Broncos. They make their selection in Eli Johnson out of Regina.
Yeah, another second right shot defenseman being drafted by Scott Barney and his scouting staff there at the Humboldt Broncos. Eli Johnson was 4th in the league in defensive scoring with 42 points in 29 games. Real mobile, real offensive, yet sturdy in his own zone defenseman. And it's a good pick for the Humboldt Broncos. They've now, bolstered a lot of offensive touch with Senek and Bazran to grab one of the top 08 defensemen on the board now in Johnson. They got 4 picks in these 2 rounds, and they're making them count.
It's fantastic. So moving on to the second pick in round 2 of the 08s. This belonged to the Nipperwin Hawks, and they pass it off to the Weyburn Red Wings, Jamie.
Yeah, so Cody Mapes and staff went with Sutton Vergod out of the Regina Pat Blues. U15 AA, and he's a draft pick of the Medicine Hat Tigers as well in the Western Hockey League. Look at those point totals, 32 goals in 27 games. Whenever a kid's over a goal per game, he's doing something right in terms of going to the right areas of the ice. A pretty physically mature kid. I'm actually surprised that it's only listed at 161 because he looked a little bit thicker and bigger to me when I watched him on video. But yeah, he knows where to find the puck back of the net. He can score. The Medicine Hat Tigers are really high on him. Yeah, we're seeing some great talent out of Regina these days, young kids especially, and Vergot's another one.
Well, Yorkton ended up making their round 2 selection, pick number 3, also out of Regina. Congratulations to Cash Lanigan.
Yeah, Regina Aces, of course, last year, Regina Aces this year, and just kept picking up where he left off, even better so. 47 points in 27 games for Cash Lanigan, 12 points in 10 playoff games, second on his team in points in the regular season, first on his team in points in the playoffs, and the Regina native going to play for the Pat Seas, of course, next year in AAA, get that rookie season out of the way, and then a really good pick there for the Yorkton Terriers, their second year of the 08.
The Weyburn Red Wings, they have the 4th pick in round 2 of the 2008 born players, and they select Ryan Gibbs.
Yeah, so I love kids that aren't afraid to try a thing, a little creativity, a little razzle-dazzle, and Ryan Gibbs is that. I mean, the Weyburn Red Wings are going to get a real exciting player if he comes to them. He needs to gain a little bit of weight. A lot of these kids, these are 14-year-olds we're talking about here, but the Tri-City Americans of the Western Hockey League are also high on a kid out of the Moose Jaw Warriors U15 system that got a lot of opportunity, led them in big time in goals this year and was a big-time offensive massive catalyst for them. But I just love a kid that doesn't mind trying things. That's what I said about Jordan Abramitz, earlier in the draft. Notre Dame getting Ethan Dundas. He's another kid that doesn't mind trying a thing or two. Gage Nagel as well. Just try, be creative, have fun. Hockey's supposed to be fun, and this is a kid that has fun playing hockey.
I love that. What a great reminder. And Weyburn having plenty of fun. They have the next pick as well. With the 5th pick in round 2, 17th overall for the 08s, they select Will Nicholson. Yeah, it was busy work there for the Weyburn Red Wings, who didn't have a first-round pick in the 2008 draft, but they just picked 3 out of the last 4 with Sutton, Verrett, Ryan Gibbs, and now finally their last pick of this draft is going to be Will Nicholson out of the Regina Monarchs. Second year of U15 AA. He's going to play AAA next year as well. 3rd on his team in points, with you can see down at the bottom, 54 points in 24 games played. Okay, we are moving right along here. This is the final round, so technically round number 8, but the second of the 2008s. And the Nipawin Hawks have the 18th overall pick, and they choose Davey Fisher from Saskatoon.
Yeah, this is a kid that that sounds negative. I mean, that seems a lot like Dana Dirks, the assistant GM who scouts the Saskatoon area, so heavily really involved with this. He's a bit of a swing. He's a very, very talented kid, going to play for the Contacts next year. And Moose Jaw Warriors, again, also a guy where people are very high on him, maybe to play in the Western Hockey League, not too far. I know the Moose Jaw Warriors are really interested in Davey Fisher. But being a Saskatoon Contacts kid, not that far from Nipawin, they can bring him in, get him involved in the organization, be a part of it. He's a guy that can score. He was around a goal per game with the Generals last year, and whenever you can do that, you're doing something well. But he's a very highly thought of kid.
All right, so congratulations to Davey Fisher. Moving on, that's the halfway point of round 2 already. So with pick number 7, 19th overall, the Estevan Bruins make their selection. Yeah, and it's gonna be Brock Kolobab, who played for the Saskatoon Stallions U15 AA. Now his second year. Last year he didn't play too much with them, just 6 games. But now in his sophomore season in U15 AA, he jumped off the charts. So you kind of see that really steep development curve, and I think that's maybe what the Estevan Bruins are looking for. As he put up 2 points a game, 40 points in 21 games. They're in his technically his first year of U15, first full season, I should say. But it's maybe an off-the-board selection that a lot of other teams maybe didn't have, and it could be a sneaky one for the Estevan Bruins with Brock Kolobab. And we go all the way to Larange for the 8th pick in round 2, 20th overall, and they select Rory Dewar out of Lanigan.
Yeah, his brother Caleb already picked by Battlefords, I believe, last year. And again, somebody that maybe Rory would know even better than me, being from Lanigan. Everybody who drives south to north to Humboldt usually goes through Lanigan. I thought you were going to say because his name is Rory. I don't know everyone named Rory. That's also a great point. Are you related? Is that how names work? What can you tell us, Rory, about Rory Dewar?
I love that. That's fantastic. Can you tell us, Rory? On the spot.
I'd have to do a little bit more research on Rory Dewar. I didn't have him on my list, even though he did have the same first name as me. But what I can tell you is that Larange Ice Wolves are sort of definitely scouting that area. You look, they have 2 Lanigan guys now, I believe a Bruno guy and a Walker guy. So it's all from that central Saskatchewan, where they probably sent a lot of scouts down to take a look at these kids. I should have looked at Rory Dewar a little more because we share the same name.
Yeah, you share the name from close to the same place where you live now. And yeah, he's a great passer. Again, not too dissimilar to his older brother, who may be a Battlefords North Star before too long. So I love to see those family connections. And just again, you can't have too many guys that are unselfish, and he's an unselfish player, passes the puck.
And if you can believe this, Rory, with their final pick. Yes, we have heard their name many times, the Melfort Mustangs, all right? They select Eric Granberg, and they select him 9th pick in round 2, so 21st overall in the 08s.
Yeah, and one of the highest touted defensemen here with the 08s is Eric Granberg, 93rd overall to PA. So you could say it is a swing for the Melfort Mustangs, but if they get him, he could be, an all-star defenseman in the SJHL when he's ready. As Newsy said, these are 14-year-old kids we're talking about right now, but First on his team in defenseman points 2 years ago with the Bandits, did win that championship 2 years ago, like last season with the Bandits, then made the transition to the Saskatoon Outlaws, second on his team in D-man points here in U15. And Granberg, the fact that he fell this far down is maybe because people think that he has WHL on his radar, but if he doesn't, he's a lock for perennial Defenseman of the Year talks. He's a special talent.
All right, we are already in the final 3 picks of the 08s, and this one goes to the Flin Flon Bombers. They have the 10th selection in round 2, and they choose Kyle McIntyre.
Yeah, so this is a pick that I don't know how many people had this guy, but again, Flin Flon and John Clausen and them do such a great job scouting near and far. And you look at the frame of this gentleman as well, and he's a guy that needs to get a bit better at skating, but he's got the frame. He defends well. His brother is also in the Flin Flon system in Colton Bridgman, so it's a situation too where you keep it in the family. And obviously, Colton had some good times with the Pat Seas this year, as well as with the Flin Flon Bombers he's drafted by and got called up by the Regina Pats as well. So we'll see where that goes. But as a family, it's good to keep the families together.
Yeah, right shot defenseman at that size, at that age. You know, take a nice chance at him with the 22nd overall pick, because if he does blossom, that could be a steal for sure with Kai Bridgman.
With the 23rd overall pick in the 08 draft, and this is round 2, pick number 11. This goes to the Humboldt Broncos, Rory.
Yeah, and I know they're really high on Cooper Irwine, and again, someone that you just got to see what his path will be. He's drafted into the WHL a little bit later than some of the others we've seen, 175th overall, but the kid can skate, the kid can score. He's a little undersized, 5'7", 135, but it won't take away anything from his offensive game, especially the way he's just been producing everywhere he goes. Point per game as a rookie, double point per game here, 74 points as a sophomore with the Outlaws U15, and 7th in the league there for Cooper Irwine. So Humboldt Broncos had 4 picks in the 08 draft. I know Irwine they were contemplating as one of their top picks. They ended up getting him with their 4th. So I got to think that they're happy, because he's a special talent as well.
And with the final selection of the day, which happens to be the 24th overall pick in the 08 drafts, Battleford's North Stars select Miller Kramer.
Yeah, and so Miller's one of those Northeast Stars AA U15 players, and not too far away from Battleford, so he's a guy that, it was close to them. They could see him a lot there at the ACC, and, he really carried the play. He was a big piece for them, and, they kind of had 1 or 2 lines that they really relied on, and Miller was a part of that. Team Sask has watched him closely as well, so they're hoping to develop local kids as well. We talked to Braden Moscow about wanting to keep Battleford's area kids in the fold, and here's another one for them. So, it's part of the plan.
And that concludes a fantastic draft. Went by a lot faster than we were all expected, but congratulations. Again, the amount of talent out here, considering that 6 rounds went by for the 07s and then 2 for the 08s. Again, to everyone who's made it in today, and even those who haven't and still have dreams of reaching the SJHL, just congratulations and keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a throwback once again to what happened in 2022, where there was 24 players born in 2006. There was 6 players born in 2007 that were drafted. They made their SJHL debut. They became, some of them, full-time SJHL players. A handful of them had NCAA Division I commitments. And those numbers are going to grow from this draft. 100%. I would bet a lot of money on it that we will have more than those 32 drafted players that at least make their appearance coming up in the 2023-2024 season starting in September.
And Jamie, your infectious energy and excitement for every single player that you were able to speak on today. I mean, for you, just this day is such a big deal. And what are you most looking forward to?
I love a draft, and I've been saying it for a long time, and I don't know if this is politically correct in terms of getting in trouble, but I'm just saying I love this format. I don't really love the 14-year-old draft format. I love the 15-year-old draft format. I love another year to look at kids. love another year to look at kids playing against 17, maybe even 18-year-olds as we kick past January, just to see what their development is like, whether they're just dominating their age group or not. And I think this is phenomenal for the league. It's phenomenal, as you were saying, Rory, how many guys made an impact from last year. We saw the Ashes and the Van Blericomms and the Millers, and we go down the list of guys who even got their D1s because they got an opportunity to play against better players sooner. And I think that's great. I mean, they've been doing it in Ontario and Quebec and whatever for a while. Great to see it being done out here too.
And before we close things out, let's take another look at the 08s from round 1 into round 2. We always want to give credit and congratulations to these fantastic players who are only going to get better from here.
Oh, you look at Cohen Volk. Now he's got the title of being the #1 overall pick in the 2008 draft. Yeah, but you kind of see a lot of these teams setting each up for success if they can get these players. Keaton Lesperance and Jonah Sivertson for the Flin Flon Bombers, Sean Bazran and Luke Senek for the Humboldt Broncos, defending champions, picking up Sam Lukenchuk there with the final pick of the first round. But, and it might be, you saw, as we mentioned, 6 2007 birth years play this year, so you won't see a ton of them come into the league, especially as full-time players, but, they'll be call-ups and get their SJHL taste this season, but mark a lot of these names for the following season in 24-25. There's some special players there.
Yeah, I do. I also just want to say, it's very exciting for, we obviously the Humboldt Broncos have been such a fixture in this league for a long time, but we do forget too that it's not a big center. So for the AA U15 Broncos to be as dominant and as great as they were last year, and to see guys like Cam Jacobson and Ethan Hamilton, be involved in this draft and where Dane Boyker goes and whatnot, just so exciting for that community. Just obviously they've been able to look up to the Broncos for so long. Is such a quality organization, and cool to see them get picked again here today.
Yeah, Jacobson, Hamilton, a few other names that you expect to see maybe next year as the 08, continues with the 6 rounds of 08s. But congratulations to all the players that got drafted in both 07 and 08 draft class, because the hard work starts now. You think it's been a long time of hard work, but it's going to continue in order to make it to the next step in the SJHL. It's a great place to play, so best of luck to all of them.
Well, speaking of hard workers, big thank you to you, Rory and Jamie, for being our SJHL insiders today.
Oh, my pleasure, of course. Love talking hockey with you guys and love doing anything around the SJHL. It's an exceptional league, so blessed to be a part of it.
I want to say thank you again to everyone who tuned in, and congratulations to everyone selected today and their families. Hope you're celebrating all together. I want to say thank you as well to our fantastic supporting sponsors: Chevy, CANTERRA Seeds, Viterra, Sask Lotteries, Global Ag Risk Solutions, Tourism Sask, Federated Co-op, and SGEU. Also a big thank you to the commissioner of the SJHL, Kyle McIntyre, who's been part of this production every step of the way. Thank you as well for joining us for an interview in this draft process as well. On behalf of the SJHL, IKS Media, Rory McGouran, Jamie Neugebauer, I'm Daniella Ponticelli, and this has been the 2023 SJHL Draft presented by UPL. Thanks for watching.